And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what?
China.
All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit. Like God's property, it's hard to market. So we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said
The white man is enacting a story all over the world. We left our homes and flooded the world. We smothered culture. We smothered knowledge. We erased history and rewrote it our way. Myself, my grandfather is 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. Claiming to be Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish is just a conspiracy. White men claiming to be of tribes of Israel when I'm Germanic. You know, I have no ties to Israel, no ties to Judaism. You know, except loosely written history that's been whitewashed over for centuries, and you know,
From the Renaissance.
oh yeah, right. You wipe everything clean. It's funny how exactly the Renaissance. It's this rebirth, but it's white rebirth. I think at the same exact time the Renaissance is happening, Columbus is sailing to America and committing genocide.
There's only one true ethnic Jew, the Mizrahi Jew, because they are Africans, and if you read the original Bible written in Phoenician Hebrew, they're not. Jewish people are not Europeans. The modern Jews in Israel are Russians or Khazars to be precise, from Russia. I learned it from my grandfather that he was because he was an Ashkenazi Jew.
You know what you are? You are an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israel, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time,
but
all that he said,
no, we don't have
so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of
Yes.
notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites?
stranger danger! Stranger danger! Stranger danger! Stranger danger!
Want to say peace and blessings to everyone. I want to apologize to what's going on here. StreamYard uh, decided to kick me out. Everything just literally, I got kicked out of StreamYard in the middle of the stream. So that's why there was a sudden silence, no clips being played. Uh, Again, StreamYard just arbitrarily kicked me out. So I had to try to get back in. And it took a little time for me to get back into StreamYard. So go figure, having these technical, selective technical issues, just so happen we're going to discuss a topic tonight I believe it's a pressing topic, but just so happened in the middle of showing some clips, I get kicked out. So, family, these are some of the things that I've been experiencing. You guys have witnessed it firsthand from the subscribers. People are being unsubscribed without them knowing from the channel. I've actually had people send me messages stating how it's hard for them to even subscribe to the channel. They'll click subscribe, or they won't even get the options and things along that line. You already know they trying to throttle the channel in terms of the videos. They doing a number of different things with, again, just to try to suppress the numbers. But nevertheless, in spite of all the craziness that is going on, we're still growing. Want to thank you guys for us hitting that 70,000 mark. We know we would have hit it long ago had it not been for a lot of the questionable practices of this platform, especially targeting our community, which we're going to deal with. We're going to deal with that. So before we go on, I want to encourage everyone, if you are subscribed to the channel, or if you think you are subscribed to the channel, go back, double check, just to make sure that you are subscribed. Periodically check to make sure that you are subscribed. Also, I want to encourage you guys too, that helps the videos, that help the video uploads as well as the lives in terms of the impressions. Go into the comment section after the video is over and post a comment. I'll say it again. Go to the comment section, post a comment. That helps with the impressions. And you guys already know that's one of the things that YouTube is making it challenging for many of our subscribers, making it hard for you to post comments. If you post a comment, they're deleting it or they're not allowing it to post. They have actually arbitrarily disabled the comment section because the comment section has an influence on the algorithms. It has an influence on what is called your impressions. And what's calculated into the overall impressions is the likes, the comments, and of course, you watching the videos, how long you watch the videos. So all of that is important, family, when it comes to how they sabotage the numbers. So how we can at least continue to press beyond the different things that they are doing here. I encourage you guys, not only click that like button, but as soon as that comment section opens up to you, post a comment there and make it a point, especially with these uploads, these video uploads, watch the video. Don't just look at the title of the video and then just post comments and then that's it. No, watch the video. Watch the video to the end, because that's how we overcome the algorithms, the things that they're doing, trying to suppress the channel with. So let's just say if we have 1,000 people eventually that click the like, guess what? If we could get each one of you guys to post a comment inside the comment section, that will help with the impressions. That'll, in a nutshell, sabotage or throw a monkey wrench inside the whole the algorithms, the program, the application that they use to put videos in certain spaces. All right. So with that being said, let's see. I'm just looking at some of the comments here before we get started. I'm going to drop the link as well for my cousin Benaiah. He's supposed to jump on here when he's available. I'm going to put the link is inside the comment section. And family, I just want to talk to you guys tonight about everything that's going on. We'll go to some of the bills that have passed, and you guys you should already know, if you don't know by now, but Congress, or at least the House rather, of Representatives, they passed not one bill, they actually passed two bills while you guys were sleeping. And we're going to deal with that. That is the topic for tonight, is dealing with the changes, the things that we see that's coming down the pike in terms of how they are defining anti-Semitism. And that's something that we really need to discuss here. And with that anti-Semitism, they're throwing Zionism, they're including Zionism, that if you don't agree with Zionism, that is anti-Semitic. You know, it's very questionable, the things that they are doing, and very questionable. We'll play some clips here. I'll let you hear the clip from the judge that asked the question, and you'll notice how the professor kept him away from going down a certain path of questioning who's who, because according to their working definition, because that's what it is, a working definition, they can in a nutshell define it, make it into whatever they want it to be. And as the professor referred to it as being elastic. So the judge was alluding to that, hey, they're not even Shemitic people. And he actually pointed out that not only are they not Shemitic people, so that means that the word anti-Semitism is not about an ethnic people. It's about people who practice a religion. That's all it is. A religion and now the political system. All right. So that means that through this government and other world governments, believe it or not, they are passing bills to protect a particular religion. All right. So if you have not watched the video last night that I uploaded, I encourage you guys, go watch the video after we do the live, because that video really sums up the contradictions. All right. And we're going to deal with that as well. Matter of fact, I got my cousin who just jumped on. Let me go and bring him on here. Shout out to you. How you doing tonight?
Hey, peace and blessings, Pastor Kelly. Peace and blessings, family. Hopefully everyone's doing well today.
Oh, doing great. Did you finish getting your cook on?
Yep, I'm full now, man.
That's good.
Yeah.
You know, so we just started here. When I was actually going through my intros with the clips, I got mysteriously kicked out of StreamYard. So it took me a few minutes to get back in. So I just went on and just encouraging the people to press anyway. You know, they're doing a number of things to try to suppress our voice, starting with the perception of how our videos are doing. And family, you could go see it on Benaiah's channel. You'll see how they're suppressing his numbers. And what does that do with perception? You know, when you see low numbers, you'll automatically think that the video content may not be all that effective, when that's not the truth. All right. Anything you want to share on that, cuz, before we get started?
No, I mean, well, it's something that YouTube themselves, that they have published as far as like what they're doing. I think we shared that before previously, but they put something out. I think we shared an article in the USA Today where there was a spokesman for YouTube that actually said that not only do they suppress videos that they feel is breaches their policies, but they also stated that they also suppress videos that don't breach their policies. So and what I mean by suppress, I mean they'll do things like they'll limit the recommendations, they'll disable the comments, and they'll also unsubscribe people to their channel. So just like you were saying, Pastor Kelly, definitely, family, make sure you're subscribed to We Woke Now. Just double check your subscription, and if you see it unsubscribe, select it, go ahead and resubscribe, just so that you're plugged into the lives.
And do the same with Benea's channel as well, and go over and look at some of the latest videos that he's uploaded, because the numbers are unusually low. So I encourage you guys, go watch the videos. Also, don't just watch the videos, post a comment, and I encourage you guys, don't just watch the or post a comment based off the title, watch the video, because doing the research on this, all those things ties into what is called impressions. So again, when you click that like, that helps tie into the impressions. The comments ties into the impressions. Even how long you watch the videos ties into the impressions. So if you go there and you watch the videos to the fullness, to the end, that's going to boost up the impressions. And guess what? That's how you sabotage, throw a monkey wrench inside the algorithms. So let's just say his latest video, and I know, and he and I talk offline, you guys already know the high visibility of his content. And to see like the last few videos he uploaded, it's not even a fraction of what we're accustomed to seeing. So how do we break that? Go watch it to the end. I'll say it again, watch it to the end, each video to the end. Once you watch it to the end, post your comments. Matter of fact, you can post it as you're watching it, and hit that like button, and then click that notification. And what that's going to do, it's going to sabotage the algorithm, even though it's not going to stop them from trying to suppress. But what happens is, those key things there will boost the impressions, which again, when those impression rates are up, it's hard for them to suppress the video. It makes it harder. Not saying that they cannot, but it makes it harder. All right. And before we get started, I want to give a couple of shout outs. I want to give a shout out to starting with Brother Douglas. Thank you for the super sticker. Really appreciate the love and support. Thank you, Ak, for the contribution. Also want to give a special shout out to Miss Cheryl Steele. Thank you for the contribution tonight. Family, let's show some love to both Cheryl Steele. This ministry is a blessing. Thank you for being a blessing to us, because had it not been for you guys, me and my cousin just be taking a walk in the park, just having conversations about like Ice Cube said in what's that movie, Boys in the Hood, philosophizing. Right. So really appreciate the love and support. And family, let's show some love for Sister Cheryl and Brother Douglas tonight. Hallelujah. And thank the Most High for you guys. All right. So, all right, family. So we're going to go ahead and transition over to the thought for tonight, right? Even though you see, be of good cheer, do better. There's a logic. There's a message behind it. If you haven't seen the live earlier on the YouTube channel, as far as We Woke Now Extended, I encourage you guys to go over there to see the full message. I'll touch on it a little bit just to see what it means, for you guys to understand what it means. Good cheer, do better. I'll just touch on it briefly just to give you some of what it means. But overall, what we're dealing with tonight is the political landscape is shifting again based upon laws that are getting ready to be passed. Anything you want to add to that, Benea? And if you're speaking, mute yourself, cuz.
Yep, that pesky mute button. So, but yeah, no, it's a sign of the times. I think we've kind of, like you said, we talked about it offline, that the entire, it seems like the entire country is up in arms about these laws that's coming down the pipeline, or at least the laws that they're pushing. And man, Pastor Kelly, I believe this is a praise message for us, because, I don't know if people realize it, but well, I guess I think you're probably going to cover it in your presentation, so I won't get ahead of it. So I'll just wait. I'll hold our testimony until you cover it, because I think you have it in your slides.
Okay. You can share. We can adjust. If you want to share anything now, feel free to do so.
Yeah. No, I'll stay with the program. Stick with the program. I don't want to throw you off.
Okay. Well, we're flexible. Just want to reiterate that. Really appreciate you guys.
No problem.
And before we get started, family, I want to give some additional shout outs here. I want to thank Kevin Jones for the super sticker. I want to thank the author, Candace Phillips Anderson. Thank you for the love and support. Blessed to be with the family tonight. Thank you for the super sticker as well. And again, thank you for Brother Douglas Worley. Thank you for the super sticker. And again, thank you for Cheryl Steele. Thank you for the super sticker, the super chat tonight. Really appreciate you guys. Again, you guys are the reason why we do what we do, and you guys make it easier for us, for us, Benea, myself, and others that are really doing all that we can to wake up you guys, to keep you guys informed of what's going on around us. So we really appreciate the love and support. And family, again, let's show some love and support for all those that contributed tonight. All right. So family, let me go ahead and stretch the screen out. All right. And I just want to just kind of point out a couple of things. And I just want to just really, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the things that we're going to cover, the first thing I want to just highlight real quick is Matthew chapter 14, starting at verse 22, right? And I'll just read it. I'm not going to go into the details, but I want you to understand why, you see the topic for tonight, be of good cheer, right? But the key is do better. That's really what Christ is telling his disciples. Be of good cheer, but guess what? Do better. And I'm going to show you with scripture why that's important for what we see today. We have to do better. We have to be better in terms of how we come together and the things that we focus on, because there's a threat that can care less about our differences. There's a threat that can care less about the disagreements of doctrine within the awakening and those that are outside the awakening. There's a bigger threat, a greater threat that can care less. So Matthew chapter 14, verse 22 says, and straightway Yahushai, some of you guys would say Yahusha, not getting into all of that. But the key is we're pointing to the same Messiah. So in straightway Yahushai, Jesus the Christ, constrained his disciples to get into the ship, or a ship, and to go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitude away. It goes on to say, verse 23, and when he had sent the multitude away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the fourth watch of the night, Yahushai, Jesus the Christ, went unto them walking on the sea. And family, this is one thing we have to really understand, especially those that are saying that you are a watchman. You cannot say that you are a watchman and you don't have a clue about the watches, right? And what I mean by the watches is the night watches. You cannot say you are a watchman if you don't understand the night watches. You don't understand the times, the day times of prayer, the times of actual sacrifice. You cannot say that you are a watchman if you truly don't understand these things, because if you don't, you're not going to really fully understand the prophecies. So in the fourth watch is what this whole event with the disciples occurred. So according to Torah, there are 3 key hours of prayer, 3 night watches, but also 2 key points times in the day for sacrifices. And I'm not going to go through all of that, but I'm just going to bring up a couple of points here with the night watches, right? The first of the night watches was called the beginning watch, right? And this is just giving you a little source here, Lamentations chapter 2, verse 19, and you'll see the beginning watch here. It says, arise, cry out in the night, in the beginning of the watches. So now we're dealing with what? The beginning watch. And it says, pour out thine heart like water before thy face of Yahweh. Lift up thy hands towards him for the life of thy young children that faint for hunger in the top of every street. So we have the first watch, right, which is the beginning watch. Then the second night watch is the middle watch, right? And this is Judges chapter 7, verse 19 confirms it. It says, so Gideon and the 100 men that were with him came unto the outside of the camp in the beginning of the middle watch. So that's the middle watch. So Gideon, at the beginning of the middle watch, which we look at it from the Hebrew perspective, the first watch would be, which is the beginning watch, of the night watches, right? That will be from 12 to 4, right? On our calendar, it would be from 6 to 10, but 12 to 4 will be the beginning watch. The middle watch will be from 4 to 12, right? And then from 12 to, wait a minute, let me make sure I got it right. Yeah. And then from 12 to, I'm getting myself mixed up. Yeah. From 12 to 4, right? Then from 4 to 8, right? Then from 8 to 12 in the morning, right? And I'll give you an illustration on that, right? And sometimes, like, you can get the hours mixed up trying to decipher between the Gregorian and the ancient. All right. But anyway, so the middle watch, again, is from 4 to 8, which is equivalent to 10, to 2 in the morning. Okay. But anyway, so the third night watch was called the morning watch. All right. So you had the beginning watch, the middle watch, and the morning watch. All right. And this is confirmed with 1 Samuel chapter 11. And it says here, just reading it here, it says, they came into the midst of the host of the morning watch and slew the Amorites. So again, it says from the beginning, it says, and it was so on the morrow that Saul put the people in 3 companies, and they came into the midst of the host in the morning watch and slew the Amorites until the heat of the day. So this is just giving you an illustration of bringing it all together. I just want to bring it all together, just so you get a visual. So, before we continue on, these are, if we focus on the morning, the light portion of the day, you'll see the third watch, the 6th hour, the 3rd hour, the 6th hour, and the 9th hour. Now, these will be the times of prayer, each time of prayer. And then the sacrifices would occur on the 3rd watch, the 3rd hour and the 9th hour, right? So we see the 3 times of prayer and then the 2 times of sacrifice during the day portion of the day. But then at night, now you see these will be, from evening to evening. This would be 12 here. This would be 12 here. But according to the Gregorian calendar, 12 midnight in the middle of the night is a new day. That in itself should raise questions. But anyway, you'll see that from evening, like I pointed out, to 4, right, would be considered the beginning watch. But as by the time we get to the time of the disciples, we see that they took on some of the Roman ways of calculating the watches, because you see a 4th watch, right, versus the beginning watch, the middle watch, and the morning watch. They began to, as you see with the scriptures, you see the 4th watch. So the 4th watch would still be, again, as you see here, these are the 4 periods, the divisions of the night. But again, in Torah, there's 3 watches. But again, this is where the The fourth watch will begin according to our watch, the ninth hour, which would be 3 a.m. And that is still part of what is called the morning watch from Taurus. So these are some key hours that we need to understand. And so the disciples are dealing with their situation in this portion of the night, the ninth hour, again, which would be equivalent to 3 a.m. our time. So 3 a.m. in the morning is when they're dealing with their storm. Anything you want to share real quick, cuz, before I continue?
No, that's interesting. The ninth hour. So right around, you're saying like right around 3 a.m. In the morning. Yeah, it's not to get too deep, but I want to say like sometimes you wake up. I'm just kind of just thinking out loud here. Sometimes when you wake up in the middle of the morning, at least for me, it's around that ninth hour, and I didn't realize it was the ninth hour. So that's good information.
Yeah, and think about this, because if you visualize what just occurred with the eclipse, right? That how both of them cross each other, it lines right up with the ninth hour.
Wow.
We can really say that we transitioned into that fourth watch, or that middle, that morning watch, when it comes to prophecy. Things that we're shifting to another point in history, from a biblical, from a spiritual, and when we start looking at things from a prophetic perspective. And we can even see that our clock is off, right? Because according to Hebrew, the ancient Israelites, there are two transitional portions of the day: the evening, which would be the 12th hour, and the morning, which would be the 12th hour. But we were taught that the middle of the night is a new day, when actually that's not correct.
Right.
So like that old saying, like the saying that Donnie McClurkin pointed out, the math is not mathing. We can also say the clock is not clocking. All right. But you see how just seeing the illustration, seeing it in your face, like, wow, it gives you a whole nother perspective on how important these watches are, from a biblical, from even just being a watchman. All right. And so with that being said, family, let me just highlight one more thing here about the fourth watch. So during the fourth watch is, again, which is within the morning watch, the disciples was overtaken by an unexpected storm. Right. And the thing that I really want to highlight here is that the storm arose while the disciples were working. They did not do anything wrong. But guess what? They did exactly what Christ told them to do, but they still had to deal with the storm. But the thing that I want to actually, I'll highlight this real quick, because this is important. When you start dealing with the physical conditions of the disciples, you're talking 3 a.m. So the physical and mental condition of the disciples is important at this point. They were physically exhausted, having struggled against the storms for hours. They were mentally drained from using all the skills that they had at their disposal. They were very exhausted. Their lives were threatened, and they were struggling for survival. And family, this is parallel to what we see today, what Daniel talks about in Daniel chapter 7, about the fourth beast is going to do everything that it can to wear us out, to make us good for nothing, to make us mentally check out, even at a critical time that we're living in right now. So let's highlight verse 26. It says, and when the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were troubled, saying, it is a spirit, and they cried out of fear. So in a nutshell, in the midst of their trouble, they could not tell who Christ was. As you see here, trouble, Sar or Tazar, however you want to pronounce it, it means narrow, a tight place, an opponent, adversary, afflicted, affliction, anguish, enemy, trouble. So in the height of what was going on, right, they were being afflicted, of course, by way of the storm, being tossed to or fro. They could not tell who Christ is. And we see this happening right now. You got so many brothers and sisters in the midst of this storm, don't even know who Christ is. And guess what? This is what's interesting about this whole situation, because again, when you see the word spirit, actually the Greek word that's there is phantasma, right? Phantasma. That's the word that you see here. And in a nutshell, that word means apparition. It means ghost, right? So that's what they see. They're in their minds, they see a ghost. And so they begin to, as the scripture says, cry, but not the cry that we think. Actually, that's more a more accurate depiction is scream, and also uh, viscerate. In other words, complain, argue loudly. So they're arguing among themselves, trying to determine what are they seeing? Is this a ghost? They're scared. They're screaming, right? They're tired. It's 3 a.m. and they see something walking to them that's out of the ordinary. So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they saw a figure, what appeared to be an apparition. In other words, a ghost walking on the water. And out of fear, in the midst of the adversity, the disciples screaming, complaining, arguing out loud among themselves that they are seeing a ghost. Sounds familiar? Right now, there's a lot of bickering, a lot of arguing going on among the people of the Most High. And I'll say it again, the enemy don't care about our differences, right? So Christ had to tell them, be of good cheer. So what does be of good cheer mean? Now, I know you guys would say, some of you guys would say tob for good in the ancient Hebrew, tawab. But notice what you see here. This is what it means to be good, right? But not just to be good, be better, do better, cheer. Sub entry or entry number 1, to be good, be pleasing, be joyful, be beneficial, be pleasant, be favorable, be happy, be right. And in this tense, it's not saying be right in an argument that, hey, you right and the person wrong. No, this is dealing with righteous. So when you see be right, it means be righteous. In other words, lawful. You cannot say you're righteous if you don't obey the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. So the key that we want to really hone in on is be better, do better in the midst of these storms. So when we go back here, it says here, but straightway Yahushua, Jesus the Christ, spake unto them, saying, be of good cheer. It is I, be not afraid. Okay. So in the midst of adversary, the disciples screaming, complaining, arguing out loud among themselves, the Messiah said, be good, do better. In the midst of, as a matter of fact, I could do the same thing with Apostle Paul, but I'm not going to go there because I want to reteach what I taught earlier. But I just want to stop here with the reason why the topic is be better, do better, be good, do good. But the key is we have to do better, family. We're getting ready to go into another transition of trying times, and we have to do better than our adversary, be better than all those that are around us. Anything you want to share, cuz, before we get into the other some of the meat and potatoes of the lesson?
No, I'm learning because it's like I mean, that the information you brought out about the ninth hour and this change that we're at the precipice of. I mean, I just did a quick check on King James Bible online, and that whole ninth hour, it's talked about, like you said, Yahushua, and it, like Matthew chapter 27 verse 46, and it says, and at about the ninth hour, Yahushua cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, and it says, that is to say, I'm just using what they have here is this, it says, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And of course, the next, few next verses is when he gave up the ghost. So there's something about that ninth hour is what you're pointing out that we need to take heed of.
Absolutely. You hit it right on the nail, cuz. And what's interesting too, remember, the ninth hour is also the time of the sacrifices.
Yes.
So the times of the sacrifices during the day portion of the day is the third hour and the ninth hour.
Wow.
So it really puts things in a completely different perspective when we start really understanding those things from a Hebraic school of thought versus what we were taught in church. Because you never heard anything about the ninth hour. You know what I mean?
Nope.
You never heard anything about that. And that really gives you even more clarity of what's going on. But like you said, this is just reinforcing to everyone that's listening the importance of knowing the times that we're in, and we are in a critical time now. Now, the ninth hour that Benea pointed out, that's the light portion of the day where the sacrifices, just after the time of prayer and the time of the sacrifices, the Messiah gave up his spirit. But then when you go to the flip side of that, to the night portion of it, now we're getting into what? The morning watch, right? The fourth watch, which is these are critical times. And, just to your point, because what you highlighted, that's where I believe that we with the what's that? The eclipse that just took place, that just transitioned us to of course, dispensationalists would say a new dispensation of time, but it's definitely transitioning to another portion of the fulfillment of the prophecies that Christ pointed out in Matthew 24. That's just my belief, according to when we read the scriptures and we understand what the eclipse, what that entire passage mean, and when we line it up with the letter that we just pointed out, we see the ninth hour on both sides. The ninth hour during the day when Christ gave up his spirit, the sacrifices in prayer, and then the ninth hour at night where we see that a critical time of watching, be a watchman. Anything else you wanted to share, Benea?
That's perfect. I mean, like I said, it explains a lot. It explains, the getting up at around, you said like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And, for me, it was consistent, and I didn't realize that was the ninth hour. I didn't realize that's what it was. So yeah, thanks for clearing that up.
No problem, cousin. And another point I want to make, and I know this is going to tie into everything, is Daniel chapter 7, verse 23. And family, I'm going to keep reiterating this so that way we get this thing down. It talks about the fourth beast, right? Because we deal with that passage, verse 25 or 25, when it says that, and to think to change times and laws, but many don't really highlight the who. We're dealing with this fourth beast. It says, thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse, shana, from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. Right? So diverse, when we look at this word diverse, right, it says to alter, change. So it's telling you that this beast has the attribute or the skill set of altering, changing things, manipulation. That's the key definition of this word. That's the key attribute of this beast, is altering, changing things, manipulation. Basically, what we learned in the scriptures, that Hasatan is the prince of the air. In other words, manipulation. Okay, so diverse. Let's look at the etymology dictionary definition of this word, and it's going to bring it all together. We see here different in kind, not alike, essentially different. Then it goes on to say turned different ways, disagreeable, unlike, hostile. But then this is what really stands out for me, is including and promoting persons of previously underrepresented minority identities. Right? That's the key attribute of this beast, right? But the key is, who is this beast? Who is this beast that will operate under the spirit of altering, changing, manipulating? Who is this beast that will operate under the spirit of altering, changing, including and promoting persons of previously underrepresented minority identities? Right? They definitely representing our identities, right? We're the underrepresented minority identity, right? In other words, of being the people of the book, which they are representing, taking that with and making it theirs, so to speak. So Daniel chapter 7, verse 24, it says, the 10 horns of the 10 of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall rise and another shall rise after them. He shall be diverse. We see that word again from the first, and he shall subdue the three kings. And we already know the three kings. I taught it. The three kings of the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom, and the Edomites. And you can confirm this, you know, and I'll highlight the scripture real quick. But subdue, in other words, it means to humiliate, to depress. That's what it means to subdue, to suppress, sink, humiliate, bring down, cast down. All right. So who is this diverse beast who shall subdue the three kings? The three kings, real quick, 2 Kings chapter 3, verse 7. And I'll just highlight it here who the three kings are: the king of Israel, the king of Judah, the king of Edom. So in this particular battle, all three kings had to come together to fight a threat that could care less about their differences. That's why I say that again. They realized there was a greater threat, and they had to come together to fight against this greater threat. But the key is that this beast is going to subdue, is going to cast down the three kings. We see that right now. In other words, this beast is going to be playing both sides of the field, right? They're going to operate in the spirit of Esau, and they're going to operate in the spirit of Israel. They're going to operate like they're on both sides. Have we not seen that from this particular beast that's quick to say that they walk with us through the civil rights movement, but they won't tell you, or history won't tell you, that they were the same people that owned most of the slave ships. They're the same people that excelled in blackface. They're the same people that fought on thousands upon thousands of them fought in the was in the Confederate Army fighting against the North to keep us enslaved. They won't tell you about those things. So again, the three kings are the kings of Israel, Judah, and Edom. So bringing this back over here real quick to Daniel chapter 7:25, it says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High and shall wear out the saints. In other words, the holy people of the Most High. This is not dealing with the church. This passage is dealing with Israel, the Israelites. So this beast shall speak great words, right? And family, we have to not just focus on changing times, because we got this portion now that they changing the calendar. They done changed the clock. But we have to pay attention to it. Also says, and laws. And they, in other words, Yah's people, shall be given into his hand until a time, times, and the dividing of time. This has nothing to deal with the church. This all deals with Yah's people. So we've been delivered, and that time is winding down. That's why they're doing all what they're doing out of desperation to keep us suppressed. So it says, he shall speak great words against the Most High. Great words. Let's break this down real quick. Is in the Israeli, melah. In the ancient Hebrew, malah, it says a word, command, discourse. When we go to that word discourse from an etymological dictionary perspective, this is key. Process of understanding, reasoning, thought. So they're going to mess with our whole process of understanding what? The scriptures. But then also we see conversation, reasoning. We see laws are being passed, right, to cause confusion, discourse about even discussing who we are. But here's a key here. Clear my throat. It says to run about, run to, and fro, hasten. To run about, run to, and fro. Guess what? That's trolling. Well, let me prove that to you. This is a troll. To go about, in other words, stroll. Hunting term. Wander, to go in quest of game without purpose. In other words, game, that is prey. Wander. Now, why did I say all of that? This is what a troll does. That's still tying back to discourse. Harass, criticize, antagonize, especially by provocatively, disparaging, or mocking public statements, posting, or acts. Are we not being trolled by the very people that say that claim that they are the people of the book? And Peter warned us about this. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, it says, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. In other words, Peter was warning us about the troll. And last point I want to make is wearing out. Bala, it means to fail, to wear out, decay, consume, use up completely. Family, I'm tired of us allowing these people and other groups come into our community and use us up. They use us just to further their agendas, and then they go off, and then they we're left hanging to dry, hung out to dry with the mess that they left behind. Family, we don't need any of them. What we need is to start rallying to each other. We need to put aside all of our arguments and all those different things and start coming together, as we highlighted here. The disciples were even arguing about whether or not if it was Christ that they saw, and Christ had to tell them to do better. So we have to do better. So this beast will create through manipulation, will create it so much discourse throughout through the media that many will become worn out. They'll be good for nothing and ready to give up. So we'll stop right there, because now if you want to go ahead and set the people up for what we're getting ready to get into about the laws that were just passed, I'll turn it over to you guys.
Well, I was wondering if you had that video where the video clip where the guy says, "Do you want to be an Israelite?"
Oh yeah, I got it here. You know me. Matter of fact, I'll play it for you.
Or do you want to be a Jew? Because that's what you're talking about, Pastor Kelly. Because our people, especially when it comes to our brothers and sisters over in the continent of Africa, as far as like the Igbos, or even our brothers and sisters in South Africa with the Lemba. Part of their indoctrination. That's what you were hitting the nail on the head. That indoctrination is, they get us to come out of the ways of the Most High and follow the ways of men, like the law, the commandments of men. That oral tradition. And I can't tell you, family, just being a student of history, studier of history, one thing you start to see, family, is you start to see the same game played over and over and over again throughout the book of time. Whether we're over in Spain and Portugal, whether we're over in the land, it always comes to a point where, we're trying to do our best to adhere to the law, statutes, and commandments. But then all of a sudden, somebody shows up with this strange doctrine. Someone shows up with a Talmud of sorts, and gets us to turn away from the Most High and start turning to the ways of men. And then, of course, the curses kick in, and then all the curses of being persecuted, whether it be the plagues, whether it be the sword, all that kicks in, family. So that's what's happened over and over again, family. So like Pastor Kelly was saying, we definitely do not need any third parties when it comes to us plugging back into the Most High. We have a direct connect to the Most High, and just we need to focus on that, family, and just learn from the mistakes that our forefathers have had in history.
Absolutely. And this is the word of one of the words of confusion. As a matter of fact, I'll play the clip for you. At your request. I just thought about it before I move on. And family, this right here is even though it's a small clip, but it says so much. It says so much. Here we go.
You know what you are? You are an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israelite. That's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time,
But
already said.
No. We don't have
so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites?
Stranger danger! Stranger danger! Stranger danger! Stranger danger!
So, family, you see how he set them up, right? He was calm, cool, collective. He made it clear he's convinced that they are the people, the Igbos are the people of the book, that they gave them pages upon pages about the customs that lines right up with Torah. But what did he say? He gave them a proposition, and this is pretty much similar to what we see that is being warned about in the scriptures when we start dealing with the mark of the beast. He literally asked them, Hey, it's cool to, that you guys are ancient Israelites. We recognize that you are ancient Israelites, but do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or do you want to become Jews? That right there, for those that are watching for the first time, those that are in the Christian sectors, and even those that are in Judaism, that right there should pose, questions that, wait a minute, you just confirmed a group of Negroes, which I can tell you just about everyone in this chat, if you are a Negro, right? If you are descendants of slaves, guess what? You are connected to the Igbos. Not only the Igbos, you connected to the Lemba, you connected to the Moroccan Israelites. There's the connection is all there, right? So for them to say you're ancient Israelites, but do you want to convert over to what? Being a Jew, in other words, by way of Judaism, that tells you that this whole thing, when you're dealing with anti-Semitism, it's based off of a religion. So does that empower Christianity? Does that empower Islam? Does that empower Hinduism? Do these other religious groups get the same privileges that this particular group gets? It opens up so much. Any thoughts, Benaya?
Yeah, no, we've been talking about this for a while, Pastor Kelly, because even I think we brought this out at the beginning of this year in the state of Georgia. They actually signed into law, an anti-Semitism bill in Georgia, and the difference is, and this is a couple of things, family, that we believe that people miss, like when it comes out, when people talk about anti-Semitism, there's an aspect of anti-Semitism that's primarily speech related. Right. So let's say, for instance, over in Georgia, I believe the brother's name was Aubrey. Oh, man, I forgot his full name, Pastor Kelly.
Ahmaud Arbery.
Ahmaud Arbery. Thank you. Yes. And there was so he was a brother. Right. And he was wrongfully murdered, racially profiled and murdered, here in the state of Georgia. And of course, it caused an uproar. And, they in the state of Georgia, what they did was that they ended up passing hate laws. And what the hate laws were, family, is that whenever an act of violence occurs, like whenever somebody is either murdered, killed, or some sort of battery, occurs, like I said, physical harm, family, physical harm, then what happens is that when that case goes into the judicial system, the penalty for that gets raised up. Like, for instance, if it's a misdemeanor, the minimum requirement is that person has to get 2 years of prison. If it's a federal offense, I believe the minimum requirement was something like 6 years of prison. And so, like I said, the difference here, family, is that these hate laws had to do with physical attacks, and family, these hate laws apply to everybody. So it didn't matter if that person was black, it didn't matter if that person was white, it didn't matter if they were Chinese, Hindu or whatever. They enjoyed the same benefit of that law, everybody. But then what happened was that the Ashkanazi then went and add the anti-Semitism to this law that was basically birthed out of the murder of a black man. And what they did was that they added this provision in the law where it says, if someone commits anti-Semitism, and oh, by the way, I'm sure you're going to bring this out, Pastor Kelly, they didn't necessarily define what anti-Semitism was in the law. What they said was that they pointed to this organization called the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. It's that, it basically said whatever they said anti-Semitism is, that's what it is. And then based off of that, then whatever crime that whatever it was, that's considered a hate law, right? Basically, that crime is now elevated up to the minimum requirement. If it's a misdemeanor, minimum requirement of 2 years, or if it's it's like a federal crime, it's a minimum requirement of like 6 years. Now, I may be using the wrong term for federal. I just misdemeanor, and what's the crime that's, if it's not a misdemeanor, the one above that?
Oh, felony.
Felony. Thank you. I said federal, but it's felony.
The misdemeanors. You had the different classes of misdemeanors, and then you get into the felonies as well.
Yeah. So if it's a felony, then that's it's even worse, right? And the takeaway from that, family, like what Pastor Kelly was pointing out, was one is that law only applies or only benefits one people. Whereas the previous hate laws was for everybody, this one law just benefits one people group. And then the other takeaway, family, was that this law doesn't. This anti-Semitism law is about speech, about people speaking something, right? Whereas the previous law was about physical harm, this law was about speaking something, and that's, of course, raises First Amendment rights infringement, and that's why, you know, a lot of groups like the ACLU in Georgia were fighting against it, and that's why we, with, you know, the first African Baptist, the African Israelite Justice Foundation, we too also did our best to fight against it, and actually we are still in the process of trying to fight against it. But, and this was where I wanted to share at the top of the your lesson, Pastor Kelly, and that is, you know, praise be to the Heavenly Father, because, you know, when we were trying to come up against it, there wasn't a whole lot that we can do other than, you know, appeal to the, you know, the Department of Justice. You know, we were put that call of action out to the community for petitions. And so thank you for everyone that signed the petitions, and so that we can get that up to the Department of Justice. But pretty much, family, you know, our hands are tied, right? But praise be to the Most High, family, where he's now gotten this, you know, taken that and turned that on its head. So now everyone, you know, all different types of larger groups are against this, you know, this putting anti-Semitism, codifying it into law, which is what they're trying to do at the federal level. Because before it was at the state level of Georgia, but now they're trying to do it at the federal level. And all these groups, family, are against it. You know, evangelical Christians, of course, the Muslims are against it. And of course, you know, our community is against this as well.
Absolutely. And you hit it on the nail. And family, that's why we're having this discussion even tonight. And we want to keep this discussion going because as Beneo pointed out, when you start understanding even the law itself within the bill, it doesn't define what anti-Semitism is. So I'm going to play a quick clip for you to for you guys to get an understanding of just how generic this anti-Semitism is, because no one can give you an exact definition of what it means. No one from that community can give you an exact definition, say this is the definition of it. Here's a sample of that. Let's go to this clip from Candace Owens with the rabbi that she had a discussion with. Here's a clip from that.
Anti-Semitism is a hate against their religion. By the time you get to the 18th and 20th centuries, when so many Jews have assimilated, they are in culture, they are in arts, they're in science, it's no longer against them for their religion, it's against them for their race. This anti-Semitism is the oldest hate in the world, and the hate that mutates.
You said it's a hate that mutates.
Correct.
So your belief then is that the definition of anti-Semitism can necessarily change. Is that correct?
It's not just my belief. It is the commonly accepted understanding in both the Jewish and academic worlds.
Even though it's a short clip, but it's so much you can unpack in that clip. He said anti-Semitism was initially hate against a religion. Then secondly, he said a hate against race. And family, we have the proof here that the Jewish community as we know them is supposed to be multiracial. But technically, under the law of the United States Supreme Court, they are part of the Caucasian race. In other words, they are classified as white. So they're saying that now the Jewish community, they of themselves are a race. But he said religion, race, and then he said it's a hate that mutates. And he said, as you heard him say, the many within academia, and of course, within his community, that's basically what he was saying, all agree. That is a generic word. because when you think of anti-Semitism, it's basically what you would think is hate against all that are Shemitic people. And I'll pull it up here. I don't have it in the slide, but I'll pull it up here to show you that initially when the laws were developed in this country back in the 80s, it was to protect Shemitic people, and it highlighted the Muslims, and it highlighted these guys here. But then it changed from that because of how an important court case came to the Supreme Court about a Caucasian being brought to court, being sued by the Jewish community because he had vandalized a synagogue. And so now they wanted to bring hate crimes laws against him based upon race. And the judge, in a nutshell, had to tell them that they cannot file a hate crime laws. He cannot be charged with hate crime laws in terms of race against race, because a white person can't sue another white person for racial discrimination. But they can do it for religious practice, freedom of religion from that perspective. I'm just paraphrasing, but that's basically the summary of that argument. So what is anti-Semitism, family? And this is, again, like the judge, and I'm gonna pull a clip up here in a little bit, but he asked the question. He's like, wait a minute, what is anti-Semitism? So you're telling me that basically, in a nutshell, it's not based upon ethnicity, right? He summed it up, but we'll get to that in a second. But again, Rabbi Michael Barkley says anti-Semitism is the oldest hate in the world, and the hate that mutates. So what does Rabbi Barkley mean by saying the definition for anti-Semitism mutate? Well, when we look at that word mutate, it tells us this is what it means: a significant and basic alteration, change. Doesn't that go back to Shana, which is the Hebrew word for diverse? In other words, meaning to alter, change, manipulate. So he's making it clear. This definition can be altered, can be changed, can be manipulated at any time. And it's interesting too, in entry number 2, you see umlaut, because umlaut, that's changes to what? The letters. Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. So he said it's the hate that mutates, right? And so to Benea's point, he brought up House Bill 1274, right? This is one of the bills that he brought up, and this is the bill with the state of Georgia. And as he pointed out, House Bill 1274, it says here, while there can be no exhaustive definition of anti-Semitism, let me say that again. While there can be no exhaustive definition of anti-Semitism, as it can take many forms, the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, in other words, the IHRA, working definition has been an essential definitional tool to determine contemporary manifestations. So they're saying that this is a working definition. What does this mean, family? They are giving this community, when I say this community, I'm talking about that community, the Israelis, they are giving them a bill that they never have to go back in court again to make any changes to. They gave it, by them saying this a working definition, they're telling you, hey, this is a bill against anti-Semitism, but if you want the definition, go to this group of people over here, and they have it on their site. They have it in their sources, so they can change it anytime they want. As you see here, working definition, that means that they will never have to go before Congress at all if they want to make any amendments to this bill. So they have a free, a blank check to do whatever they want, and they can change it on the fly. Anything you want to interject on that, cuz?
Yeah, and we were talking about this before, Pastor Kelly. It's like one of the things that I believe that a lot of people are missing on this is who exactly is the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. Like, it almost seems like nobody's asking the question. So at the very least, if they're pointing to a group to be, the authors of this definition that's going to get written and codified into law, at the very least, they should tell us who the group is or who makes up the group. And when we take a look at the group, the first thing you'll notice if you go to the About page, it tells you that group is made up of something like 31 countries, 31 including the United States. So it'd be 30 countries. And so here, just right off the bat, you would look at that and you would say, well, wait a minute. Well, that would mean foreign countries or foreign interests has their hand in creating and crafting United States policies and laws. It's like, that's not right. That's one. And then two, when you look through the list, you'll find the state of Israel in there. And so, of course, a lot of folks believe, Benjamin Netanyahu is off his rails right now and committing all kinds of acts of genocide or whatnot. So now, according to, the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, now you have Benjamin Netanyahu directly influencing this policy. And maybe you're saying, well, Benai, he's just one of the 30-something countries. Well, if you also on the About page, family, is like a breakdown of the organizational structure of how things are, because they got a presidency and they got little committees and stuff like that. And right now, the presidency, I think it started in the 1st of March. The presidency actually went over or transitioned over to someone from the UK. And just like we have AIPAC over here in the States, and AIPAC, for those of you who may not know, AIPAC is a lobbying group, and they're the ones that that pay all these politicians to follow their interests. Folks are complaining about that. That same type of group is also in the UK. They're not called AIPAC; they're called something else. But they too are a powerful organization that controls politicians. So this new presidency that's now over the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, guess what, family? They are subjected, or what's the word I'm looking for? They are able to be controlled by these lobbyists as well. So folks need to look into who is the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, and that on its face, family, should cause people to abandon this law at all costs. And you might be on mute, Pastor Kelly, if you had something.
That infamous mute button. So even to your point, and family, I'll post this sources, these that we're referencing in the comments section, so you guys can further research and do your due diligence at your leisure. But it goes on to say here, to determine contemporary manifestations of anti-Semitism, and includes useful examples of discriminatory anti-Israel acts that can cross the line into anti-Semitism. But notice what it says here, to Benea's point. The IHRA definition is used by various agencies of the federal government and by over 30 governments around the world, recommended for use by the European Council, the European Parliament, endorsed by the Secretary General of the United Nations and the Secretary General of OAS. I said OAS, excuse me. Included in policy guides prepared by the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. It has been formally adopted by a growing number of nations, cities, universities, sports teams, civil society, and so forth. So that's what it has inside that bill. But as Benea highlighted earlier too, is that what you saw occurring that took place in Georgia, right? It's kind of like Georgia was kind of like the test place, the dev environment, if you guys are technical out there. And so by the time it gets to the House, the Senate, when it gets to Congress, right, when it gets to Capitol Hill, that is like now getting into the production. You know what I mean? So what we see here is like Georgia was kind of the area that they used to kind of clean it up, to try to tighten up their boat, so to speak. And then at the opportune time, which is now, is to now present this bill through the House while everyone was sleeping, right? During what watch? You know what I mean? The night watches, right? So this is one of the bills, because actually it's two bills, family. It's not just one, it's two bills. So this is House Resolution 894. It says here, strongly condemning and denouncing the drastic rise of anti-Semitism in the United States around the world. So when you go to this bill, and this is the bill, and I want to put the link so you guys could review it yourself, but it says that whereas the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance working definition of anti-Semitism is widely accepted.
By who?
We see. Go ahead, cuz. I thought I heard you.
No, sorry. I was just adding. By who is widely accepted? By who?
Exactly. By their own community, right? It says, but here's the kicker, family. This is a federal law that they're trying to put into place that has no definition. There's no etched in stones definition to say this is what anti-Semitism is. The rabbi said that it's a hate that mutates. He went from saying a religion, then saying a race. Then he says it's a hate that mutate. What is it? What is anti-Semitism? And family, when you read this, and I'm going to highlight a couple of things here to show why every last one of you guys, and family, I want to make this clear. You don't have to vote to have a concern. We're not trying to tell you who to vote for or anything like this, but guess what, family, you can't sit here and be quiet either, because this is coming to our doorsteps. You need to make your voice heard in your local city council, just to let them know that, hey, you know what? I see what's going on and I object to what's going on. I'm not telling you to go out there to vote, but you have to let your voice be known, because this is all affecting your community, your household. Daniel was a government worker for the who? The Babylonians. The Hebrew young men, they were government workers. Look it up. Moses, right? He was in the Egyptian government. Joseph, right? But you can stay true to the Most High, and still have concerns. So family, if you don't say anything, it's going to come to your doorstep anyway. Because someone could say, hey, I heard you say that you're the people of the book. What you trying to say? I'm not the people of the book. Hey, that's anti-Semitism.
Yep. And actually in Georgia, what made, you can actually, to your point, Pastor Kelly, so Georgia was like the testing ground. And so in Georgia, it was twofold. So the first bill, the first set of bills that they tried to pass, family, had to deal with, just the definition of anti-Semitism and tying that into the hate laws. Like we were saying, the hate laws, which elevates the crimes to a minimum of 2 years for a misdemeanor, and for a felony, I believe it's 4 or 6 or something like that. That was step one. Step two was they updated the RICO laws. Now, if you don't know what RICO laws are, it's like the racketeering. I don't have it in front of me, but basically, family, what the RICO laws is, family, or at least from the perspective of the black community, is those were laws that were put into effect, family, to persecute, people from the black community at a large scale. Like, in the reason why the RICO laws were the tool of choice against our communities was that the burden of proof of conviction with the RICO law is much less compared to everything else. So in the RICO laws, you don't have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. You just have to prove something about the person just had like a loose associations or some sort of knowledge of the person, but not necessarily the crime, but of the person. I mean, it's something crazy, family. And law enforcement were using the RICO laws, family, to put a lot of black folks in, behind bars. So the second part, family, what they were trying to do was they took that anti-Semitism bill and they went and approached the RICO laws, and they said, well, hey, we're going to tie anti-Semitism now into this RICO law. And that way, family, what that would allow them to do is to elevate the anti-Semitism crime from a misdemeanor to a felony. That's what the changes that they were doing to the RICO laws was going to allow them to do. Make it instead of it being a misdemeanor with those minimum 2 years, make it to be a felony. And so that's what we can expect, or that's actually what we're looking out for them to try to push over on the federal level as well, family. So just be mindful of that.
And so also, family, to point out, because I know some of you guys may wonder, what does it mean when it says working definition? What does a working definition mean? So let's pull it up real quick, right? What is a working definition? Glad you guys asked. A definition that is chosen for an occasion. It may not fully confirm with established or authoritative definitions. Then it also says a definition being developed, a tentative definition that can be tailored to create an authoritative definition. Now, I know you guys like, what in the world? Yeah, that's why it's confusing. That's why that rabbi said it's a hate that mutates. That's why he could not give you a definitive answer on exactly what anti-Semitism is. He couldn't. So now they're saying it is a working definition. In other words, it's open-ended. They can, as you see here, a definition that is chosen for an occasion. So you can pull it out anytime you want. You can pull out, they could come up with an occasion for whatever they want to say. Hey, you know what? You said that, the Jews dominated the transatlantic world war, or slave trade is what many will refer to it as. Hey, that's anti-Semitic, even though you could pull out the sources. Hey, you know what? Whatever they may want. I mean, you could pull out. They can say it's anti-Semitic because they can choose a definition basically for whatever occasion, whatever is the argument at the time. They could say, hey, you know what? We don't like how comedians are using making jokes about our community. So therefore, we're going to come up with a working definition. Part of this working definition, we're going to come up with a definition of anti-Semitism that's going to fit the occasion that we can keep comedians from saying anything. And you know what? Based upon what I see in your movies that you make, if you include someone from our community, in other words, their community inside the movies, well, they could come up with a modified working part of this working definition to say, hey, it's anti-Semitism if you tell the truth. You know what I mean? What you telling the truth, or if you putting things out there that we don't agree with. Come on, family. They saying it's anti-Semitic to say that just for the sake of conversation, the Jews killed Jesus. Go figure, family. So it's coming to the doorsteps that is causing others to have to what? Now say something. The very people that's been bashing our community, guess what? Now, they have to say something because they looked at us as being the threats. Now you have a greater threat that don't care about. They don't care about the differences. They care about what they care about. They care about what they care about. Go ahead, cuz I thought I heard you give her say something.
Oh no, it's just funny because when it happened in Georgia, we were trying to engage the Christian community to let them know, say, hey, this stuff that they're pushing, it doesn't just impact the Israelite community. It impacts, to your point, Pastor Kelly, it impacts the Christian community. It impacts the Muslim community. And we were trying to reach out to them and try to let folks know that, hey, you need to, be aware of this and stir up your members, right? But it didn't really take off, and that's the thing about it. It's like, that's why I believe this is like a praise session here, because so that kind of died on the vine as far as trying to get them involved. But then here comes this whole thing with the colleges and the protests and the arrest and then of course the Apex and all these other guys are trying to influence politicians to crack down on it. So what do? They push this anti-Semitism bill. And then when they do that, because it's so polarized and out there in the media, then all of a sudden they picked up on it. It's like, wait a minute, we noticed that you, just like you said, Pastor Kelly, your definition of anti-Semitism includes saying the Jews killed Jesus. The Jews unalive Jesus. And so then at that point, then all of a sudden it started, it started making its way around the Christian community. And so now you got these hard right wing evangelical white Christians. Man, they are up in arms, family. I mean, like I was telling Pastor Kelly, just on like YouTube alone, you have folks that have followers of like in the millions, telling their followers that, hey, they're coming after our Bible. And you should see some of the comments in their comment section. It is not nice. I can say it to you that way. So yeah, family. Go ahead, Pascal.
Go ahead, because I'm sorry. I thought you was finished.
Oh, I'm just that's it. I'm just saying it's making its way around, family, and everybody's starting to get plugged into it. Go ahead, Pascal.
And family, think about the breadcrumbs that was already there. Right? Remember Mel Gibson did the movie Passion of the Christ? And remember the uproar from that community because they labeled him as anti-Semitic because they said in the movie that showed that the Jews per se killed Christ. You can't say that you want to be a group of people, but you don't want to deal with the repercussions behind it. It's scripture. It's in the scripture who took account for the whole situation. But family, that's a sample of where things are going at now. It's almost like, hey, you know what? Let's look at the Hebrew Israelites, kind of make me think about Tony Montana. Okay, everyone just look at me. I know every one of you guys looking at me and just saying that is the bad guy. Yeah, I'm the bad guy. You know what I mean? Say hello to the bad guy. See, that's what they were kind of doing with our community. We were the bad guys until what? Right? Until what? We were considered the bad guys until what? So this is where we are right now. And real quick, let me give some shout outs here. Didn't realize we had some additional super chats here. Let me just go through it real quick. Payday, love and appreciate this channel. It's been a blessing to me. And thank you for the love and support, Payday. Thank you for the contributions tonight. And family, let's show some love to Payday. Really appreciate it again. James Chief, thank you again for the love and support. Thank you for the super sticker, the Negro Experience. Thank you for the love and support. And family, if you look at the icon of his profile, that is a lynching, a cartoon of someone from within our community being lynched. And guess what? Who made some of those postcards? Right? Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. But thank you again, the Negro Experience, for the love and support. John 1-on-1, thank you for the love and support. Family, let's show some love to John 1-on-1. And also, excuse me, I said 1-on-1. Lisa Jackson, thank you for the love and support. All praises to the Most High. I will keep his word in my heart. That's right. Thy word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin before thee. And what is that? Or sin against thee. What is that? The law, statutes, and commandments. That's coming from the 119th book of Psalms. Appreciate the love and support. Kevin Jones, thank you for the love and support. And again, the author, Candace Phillips Anderson, thank you for the love and support. And also Brother Douglas and Sister Cheryl, thank you guys for the love and support. And family, let's show them some love for the love and support that they've given us tonight. Really appreciate you guys. All right. So getting back into it, family, we can get into some, we're going to really, take off some of the wheels, to bring this to your guys' understanding of what's inside this, these bills. Right. And so this is coming from the Holocaust Remembrance.com. Right. This is what they say about anti-Semitism. As a matter of fact, let me drop some of these links inside the chat so you guys can also vet the resources that we're sharing with you today. This is the definition of working definition that I just read. Let me drop that in the chat so you guys can have that. What else do I want to drop in there? This is the H House Resolution 894. Excuse me. that we made reference to. Let me put that inside the chat. All right. So let's put this one in here. This is coming from the Holocaust, right? The very source that we were told to make reference to. Let me do something real quick. Let me put this inside the chat. And guys, you can have it for your leisure as well to go back over it. And I encourage you guys, go back over it. Don't just leave it up to us to do it for you. Go back over it. All right. Now, let's see what they say. Let's see what they say. All right. It says here, calling for aiding or justifying the killing or harming of Jews in the name of a radical ideology or an extremist view of religion. All right. Making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as collective, such as especially but not exclusively the myth, right? It says the myth about a Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions. This is what Kanye West read from when he said he didn't know that saying that his doctor is a Jew, his lawyer is a Jew. He said he didn't know that that falls in alignment with anti-Semitism. This is what he was reading from, right? Accusing Jews, but we want to deal with this a little bit here because we already seen some of the clips, and I have some of the clips inside the videos on this channel with Michael Rappaport, right? That he's a Ashkenazi Jewish actor, right? Someone invited him to the cookout, and he's now showing his true character. He's been stating a lot of crazy stuff about our community, and he literally makes it clear that they do run everything, that they do run the things, and that they're smart. You know what I mean? That we want to be them. He says these things. But anyway, it says here, and the other thing it says here, accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoings. Come on, cuz. Is that crazy or what? Accusing Jews of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoings committed by a single Jewish person or group, or even for acts committed by non-Jews.
Wow. So if they try to redline, within our community, which they have, so that's I guess considered anti-Semitism.
Yeah. And notice what it says here, family. Denying the fact, scope, mechanisms, an example, gas chamber, or intentionally of the genocide of the Jewish people at the hands of National Socialist Group, National Socialist Germany and its supporters and accomplices during World War II, the Holocaust. So it's saying define the fact, scope, mechanism, or intentionally of the genocide of the. Anyway, you can see why it's all over the place here. Because you can say something.
Yeah, if you notice on that particular one, and I just picked it up, it said denying the fact or scope. Scope. So basically, family, like when you know how he was talking about the 6 million with the Holocaust, and how we pointed out the fact, family, that even if you went to like the international the official, like the U.S. United States Holocaust Museum or something like that, it was like an online website. And within that website, it's funny because after we started talking about it, they changed it. But basically, at first, when you went to the website, it talked about how it was an estimate, and then it shows you why it was an estimate it said that the reason why it was an estimate was because they had to pull these numbers from different sources. So there wasn't like one source that had all the numbers of those that were impacted by the Holocaust. They had to pull these numbers from different things, and then they had to kind of infer certain things. They had to kind of what's the word I'm looking for? projects certain numbers or whatnot for it. And so basically they summed it up by saying it is an estimate. And if you were to look up the definition of the word estimate, it means that it's not an exact number, right? It could be high, it could be low, right? And so what they're saying, family, and this one is that they're trying to change that estimate into a concrete number. And then saying that if you don't believe this concrete number, that is anti-Semitism, which is crazy.
And to your point, because denying the fact or scope. So, in other words, when you say scope, that's just a range.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? A scope is a range. Well, what is the range? Denying the fact, scope, mechanisms, So what is it? Now, we'll double back to this, but this can, according to them, right? Because they say 6 million, right? They say 6 million. And again, I want to make it clear that we're not minimizing the loss of life whatsoever. Loss of life is loss of life, especially when we start dealing with innocent people. So we're not here trying to say that the Holocaust did not happen or anything along that line. But I do want to share with you guys, is this anti-Semitic or Semitism, according to them? If we go to this source here, Poland agrees to change Auschwitz tablets. This is Poland, right? Who are the people within Poland that are pushing this? It says here, Poland agrees to change Auschwitz tablets after 50 years of deflecting the request of Jewish groups. The Polish government has agreed to change the wording on stone tablets at Auschwitz and Birkenau, the adjacent Nazi camps where more than 1 million Jews died during World War II. It goes on to say the move follows decades of appeals by Jewish groups, not by anyone else, but it says by what? Jewish groups who say the current plaques do not fully reflect the suffering of Jews there and focus too heavily on the camp's non-Jewish victims. So they're saying that according to them, right, at Auschwitz, it's supposed to have been 4 million, but they saying that number is highlighting those that were non-Jewish. But notice what they say. While thousands of non-Jews were among the estimated 1.5 million killed at Auschwitz, the victims were predominantly Jewish, right? So this is the original tablet. 4 million people suffered and died here at the hands of the Nazis. Murders between the years 1940 and 1945 said 4 million. But then when we go to the newest or the more up-to-date numbers or plaque, it says here, forever let this place be a cry of despair and a warning to humanity, where the Nazis murdered about 1.5 million men, women, and children. But notice the wording here. It says mainly Jews. So even with this 1.5 million, it's saying, still telling you that they were not all from the Jewish community. Why is this important? It goes from 4 million to 1.5 million. So if you take, what's that? That's what, 2.5 million? So you take 2.5 million and subtract that from 6 million, that's going to put you down to 3.5 million. That's just at Auschwitz itself. So according to the anti-Semitic laws that we just read here, let's go back here. What they're saying is denying the fact, scope, mechanism. Wait a minute. So even if you just share this fact that we just shared, right? And this is tying it to the other part of this bill, accusing the Jews, or this working definition, accusing the Jews as a people, Israel as a state, of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust. So if you say or give the proof that I just shared that there was 2.5 million numbers removed from that overall 6 million number, that can be considered an exaggeration. Well, what are your thoughts, cuz?
Well, I mean, one of the things that we try to tell people, Pastor Kelly, is black folks was in the Holocaust. Like when you were highlighting those two references, And in the reference, it said non-Jewish. But family, what you have to know is that we were in that non-Jewish number. And, truth be told, family, that like they don't know exactly, just like, as far as like the number of Ashkenazis, they don't know exactly how many so-called black folks was caught up in the Holocaust either, because one, they weren't really documenting us, because when it came to, the persecution over in Germany, we had it the worst, family. I mean, there's articles out there, family, that talks about how when a black person, let's say for instance, like especially like during World War II, and you've heard of these things called POWs or camps where they kept the prisoners. Well, if a black pilot was shot down, family, they said that normally he wouldn't make it to the camp because they would just take him out back and shoot him, because that was the fate of so-called African Americans or so-called black folks during that time, because Germans, family, they did not like black folks at the time. So that's why our numbers during the Holocaust are massively, I believe they're massively undercounted, one. And then two, they don't tell you that the Holocaust started first in Africa.
That's right.
Like when you see those concentration camps, or you hear about them doing like the experiments on people, or you see the folks with like the malnutrition, emaciated folks that were starved to death, that was done in Africa first. And that was part of the Holocaust. And so in what they do, they routinely leave us out of the numbers. They routinely leave us out of the retelling of the Holocaust, which is in itself racist. But go ahead, Pastor Kelly.
Yeah, and to your point, and family, I encourage you guys, do your research, because there were it's history. It's proven that German went through a cleansing of removing our people from there. Even those that were mixed, they was putting them into special camps to make sure that they died off. You know what I mean? They were doing a number of different things just to make sure they cleansed Germany of our people. But it started in Africa, right? But again, that's the part that you don't hear about, is many will label it as the Black Holocaust. And you could just do a research on that, search for the Black Holocaust. I think I have a couple of books even on my Kindle, and I can post it inside the comment section for you guys to understand. All right. Let me see here. Oh man, I didn't want to do that. Come on now.
To your point, Pastor Kelly, there's a book called Germany's Black Holocaust. You can get it on Amazon today, and they have it in Kindle form, and they also have it in paperback. So if you just type in Germany's Black Holocaust, and even on the front of the book, you'll see emaciated pictures of our people over in Africa, which is where it started.
Absolutely. My apologies, family. Someone was trolling, and I was trying to ban them. They pointed out this is BS, but they put curse words there, and I was trying to block them, and it ended up showing their tag on the screen. See, family, those are trolls. That's what trolls want to do. And just what we pointed out earlier, that's what they want to do, because they don't want to they don't want to deal with the truth. They just want to be divisive and cause confusion. So my apologies for accidentally posting that on the screen, because we don't get down with the cursing and all that other stuff on this platform. You're entitled to disagree, but we can be civil even in our disagreements. But ignorant people like that, they want to stir up confusion, and they want to stir up a certain spirit in the chat to have us focusing on trying to go back and forth with them. I'll say this: if there's anyone that you say that you got sources that you want to share and you want to have a discussion, we're open for discussion. But we're not going to go back and forth on exaggerated opinions. You know what I mean? We show sources here. But anyway, back to our regularly scheduled program. Sorry about that, cuz I just had to address that.
No, I was going to say, if you get a chance, Pastor Kelly, I actually have that book pulled up. I mean, if there's some, like you were saying, like if there's some doubt as to, whether or not this thing exists or not, we do have the book. I got it pulled up on the screen. So definitely, if you want to see it and see what we're talking about, because we're not, to your point, Pastor Kelly, we're not just talking. We're actually just talking about regurgitating what's in books, what's already been academically proven and documented, right? And that's been the whole point. The reason why folks have had issues or problems, trying to disprove the stuff that we're bringing out is because it's already established. It's already academically established and accepted.
I'm on. And what we'll do, I definitely will share my screen with you. I will allow you to share the screen so we could show these sources. And a couple of things I want to do before we do that. I want to just highlight a couple of things with this bill that I found that was very interesting. And I did want to show an article as well about something that we discussed. And you did a video on this as well earlier. I think you did it towards the end of last year. Middle or end of last year. So, family, I want to get into that, but this is another thing right here, accusing Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or to the alleged priorities of Jewish worldwide than to the interests of their own nation. Family, this right here, you can pick holes in this right here because it's saying accusing the Jewish citizens of being more loyal to Israel or to the alleged priorities of Jews worldwide than to the interests of their own nation. Well, if we go to, I'll just skip down here real quick, right? Let's see what they're doing here. Like, let's go to OSHA, right? Let's see here. This is coming from ACLU.org. Laws suppress boycotting of Israel don't prevent discrimination. They violate civil liberties. A number of states recently passed laws that require state contractors, right? This is government contractors, including teachers, lawyers, newspapers, and journalists, and even students who want to judge high school debate tournaments to certify that they are not participating in politically motivated boycotts against Israel. Dozens of states have considered such anti-BDS laws, and a bipartisan group of 73 senators passed a bill, the Combating BDS Act. So this is telling us that if you are a government contractor, whether it's on the well, of course, this is on the state level, but it's getting ready to get to the federal level for sure, but definitely on the state level, that if you are boycotting or if you're speaking against Israel, then you can be terminated. Your contract can be ended. It can be canceled. And I have a few videos of a woman who is, I believe she's a Muslim, and she spoke against the Israelis back in, I believe, October, November, and they fired her. They canceled her contract because of her stating her views against the Israelis. Family, that's definitely our First Amendment that's being violated. But there's other things that you could tie into this. But another thing that I want to highlight here is U.S. Department of Education. Yesterday, the U.S. Department of Education Office for Civil Rights, OCR, released a fact sheet protecting students from discrimination based on shared ancestry or ethnic characteristics, explaining ways that Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which protects students from race, color, national origin discrimination, covers students who are or perceived to be Jewish. Notice how they're at the forefront: Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Skit, excuse me if I mispronounce it, Hindu, Buddhist, or of another religious group. The rise in the reports of anti-Semitic incidents, including at schools, underscores the critical importance of addressing. Notice where are we at in this whole civil rights Title VI. Wasn't it initially for our community, supposedly? But notice what's all ahead of us now. And look at who's at the very forefront of this. Everyone is protected, but who? The Negro, who had to deal with segregation from schools, from restaurants, all the way to places of worship. You had groups like the Assembly of God that made it clear that they didn't want us to be part of that group. And go figure, the Assemblies of God came out of Church of God in Christ, which is a Negro Pentecostal organization. It says the rise in reports of anti-Semitic incidents, including at schools, underscores the critical importance of addressing discrimination based on shared ancestry or ethnic characteristics. For decades, OCR has investigated and resolved complaints of discrimination, including harassment based on a student's shared ancestry or ethnic characteristics. But we're the only people that they have to make a bill, create a bill to say that we can wear locks or braids in our hair. We're the only group of people that's still right now that's getting murdered by law enforcement right now. We're the only group of people where you have someone going working for Uber, going to do an Uber pickup, get gunned down in front of the camera, get gunned down. No other group of people are dealing with this. And want to give the impression that others groups are basically going through far worse than what we're going through. No other group is getting harassed like us. I got clips of even those from that community in blackface, officers or soldiers wearing blackface and mocking Negroes. Anyway, so let me get back to here. I just want to tie this in to what we was highlighting here earlier, but let me go back to this bill so that way that because I know you got some more that we talked about offline that I want you to share here. But here's a couple of things, cuz real quick, with this bill that really stood out for me. Right? In this bill, it says October 8th, 2023, a car with individuals holding Palestinian flags. Actually, you know what? Yeah, Palestinian flags appear to intentionally swerve out of its lane, nearly hitting a visible Jewish family in Clifton, New Jersey. Now, this is in the bill. This is some of the examples that they used. They even used international things from like Australia. I'm not going to get into that, but that's what makes this bill so suspect. But let's go here. This is what it says. And I highlighted it, but these are some of the other things that are there. Sydney, as you see here, Australia. But let's highlight this real quick. It says, whereas on October 8th, 2023, a car with individuals holding Palestinian flags appeared to intentionally swerve out of its lane, nearly hitting a visibly Jewish family in Clifton, New Jersey. Well, is this entry accurate? Guess what, family? It's not. This is Reuters. Fact check, right? Video does not, let me go back here. Video does not show Palestinian flag waving from car in New York, October 13, 2023. And I just highlighted the verdict. It says video of what appears to be a Puerto Rican flag being waved from a car in New York has been shared to falsely claim that it shows a Palestinian flag. So in that bill, it used this situation that is not accurate inside the bill. You got inaccurate information inside a bill that right there should disqualify that bill from even making it through the House. That bill shouldn't even made it through the House, knowing that it has inaccurate information. Another thing I want to highlight real quick, right? Here's another thing. A Jewish woman, November 3rd, 2023, a Jewish woman's store in New York City was attacked by a mob. Wait a minute. So it says a Jewish woman's store. It says was attacked by a mob of anti-Israel protesters, all because she hung posters of Israeli hostages in the store window. Well, I went to the article. I mean, New York Post. This is what it actually says. It says Jewish woman attacked in New York City for confronting protesters callously tearing down hostage poster. Now, here's more information on it to give you more accurate understanding of it. They said a mob went into a woman's store, all this other stuff. Let's see exactly what they report the New York Post, what they say. It says NYPD is searching for 2 women who attacked a Jewish victim on the upscale side, west side, who confronted the duo as they tore down posters of Israelis kidnapped by Hamas. The 41-year-old victim confronted 2 unidentified suspects just before 10 p.m. Thursday when she saw them ripping the missing person posters from a light pole. Didn't say anything about from a business. It says from a light pole. This is a public light pole on a sidewalk at the intersection of Riverside Drive and West 82nd Street, according to police. She engaged the 2 females in a verbal dispute as she recorded the incident on her cell phone, police said. And the question is, why don't they show the footage? Why didn't they upload the video? Because even in the New York Post, they show clips of someone tearing down, 2 women tearing down or ripping off a poster, but they don't show the actual 2 women from this situation. They show young ladies getting into a verbal thing during the day, but it doesn't line up with anything of this story here. So at that point, the 2 women assaulted the Jewish woman, ripping off her Star of David necklace and knocking the cell phone out of her hand before fleeing on foot. The question again is, where is the actual video of the incident? I'll turn it over to you, Cuz.
Yeah, no, it's I have to your point, Pastor Kelly. Yeah, I had a video called Anti-Semitism Galore. And basically, I did what I did was I pulled up there's an old video of an Israeli researcher / reporter, and he goes to the ADL because the ADL purports that there's anti-Semitism on the rise. It's just all over the place, and so this Israeli reporter, he wanted to capture it, and share it with the world, right? So he wanted to give visibility into all this anti-Semitism that the ADL was purportedly saying that was occurring. So in this video is, the reporter showing himself go into the office. This is like down in New York, and he goes to the headquarters and he goes into the office and he's speaking with the one of the ADL representatives, and he's literally standing at her desk. And the guy was like, well, well, let's show him what's going on. Let's show him all these cases that we're dealing with. And that was like just one of the comedy points in the video was that when they tried to look it up, they couldn't find a family, or when they did find it, it wasn't anything that was major. And that's the thing that the Israeli reporter himself pointed out in that opinion piece. So Pastor Kelly, it just kind of goes along and just confirms what you're talking about now. And that is, this has been going on for a long time. And so they always have to confirm family. Like anytime these allegations start coming out, family, just wait until it gets confirmed, by a third party, right, before you accept it, because there's a tendency to kind of to not report things accurately when it comes to that.
Absolutely. And to your point, cuz I'm gonna share my screen. I want to share something here. Let me stop this here and I'll pull it back up. You made me think about this article right here. I'm gonna share this article here, and I'm it's going to tie into what you just pointed out. All right, and this is an interesting article by Business Insider. Can you see it, cuz, on your screen?
Yep, looks good.
And it says this, and this is from April 24th, 2020. It says the ADL's extremism statistics make it seem like ultra right wing violence in the U.S. is more common than it actually is. It goes on to say, the Anti-Defamation League statistics about extremism have been cited as authoritative by much of the press, including its most publicized claim that nearly 3/4 of extremist killings in the U.S. over the past decade have been committed by right-wing extremists, a category that includes white nationalists. It goes on to say, but if you define extremist incidents as incidents involving violence constituting a hate crime or terrorism, or incidents where a report of the incident refers to motivation by extremist views, just 58% of the incidents cited by the ADL over a 10-year period fits that definition. So this article is saying, out of all that's been reported that the ADL has said is extremist situations, it said really it's even though I'm not trying to minimize it, because extremist situation is extremist incidents. We can't throw that out. But it's saying that it reduces that number by, if we look at the math here, by 42%, almost half. It says a major factor is that the ADL counts non-ideological violence, such as extremist killing one another, and botched drug deals and robberies in its overall extremist violence stats. That significantly increases the overall number of incidents in its analysis. It says this is not to diminish violence motivated by bigotry or politics. On the contrary, but it says the ADL's reporting of statistics might be better served with more clearly defined and exacting standards of what constitutes extremist violence. Inflating the overall threat emboldens political extremists who want the public to live in fear. It also threatens confidence in the accuracy of trusted institutions, analysis to public crisis. But again, it says this is an opinion comment. The thoughts expressed are those of the author. So they're making it clear, even though this is Business Insider, but they're making it clear that these are not their thoughts and views, but this is a article that was written that they're allowed to go in their publication. But still, it says here, and it gives some examples here. For example, in 2015, Michael Augustine Borns murdered his wife and 3 young children. So this is part of included as part of the numbers with the ADL. That's what this is saying. It said police said Borns was a constitutionalist who didn't believe in government and had anti-government literature in his pickup. But according to this article, this will be considered anti-Semitic, right? Part of that statistics. It says here each of the crimes is counted as an extreme incident by the Anti-Defamation League, whose statistics have been represented by media outlets as the gold standard for reporting on extremists of the white nationalist, anti-government, left-wing, anarchists, or however you pronounce it, and radical Islamist varieties in the U.S., right? So this is where I wanted to get to. Let me see here. What it closes out here says, what's of concern is the seeming inflation of the overall numbers under the vaguely defined umbrella of extremist incidents by including crimes that are not targeted at minorities, which makes extremists appear to be more pervasive than they would otherwise be with greater context. So, and it says right here, to be sure, the ADL's most promoted and reported statistic, ultra-right groups account for a disproportionate number of hate crimes and acts of terror still holds up. So what are your thoughts? Because and I'll put this in this article inside the chat for you guys to review it as well. But basically it's saying how the ADL is using certain statistics in their overall stats to almost like patent their numbers.
Yeah, if you, I have a page from the FBI's statistics. If you're able to share that one, that might help drive your point home. So hang on, let me go back over there. So yeah, family. So this is what you're looking at, family. This is from the FBI's website, and from as you can see, the Crime Data Explorer. So as Pastor Kelly was saying, when you scroll down, this is where they break everything down by gender, by religion, and all this other stuff. But when you look at it by bias types, who's number one when it comes to crimes against a people?
Because can you zoom that in just so the people can see that? If you could pinch your screen, can you pinch your screen?
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. See, I'm on my tablet, so I can pinch my screen, with my hand. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah. No, this is desktop.
I just wanted the people to see that part. Yeah, there it is. Can you go back to it?
Oh, hang on. I think that says anti-Jewish. Where did
shrink it down so you get back to where you are?
Yeah, hang on. There we go.
There it is. Yeah.
But yeah, so to your point, Pastor Kelly, when it comes to the numbers, like the official numbers, I gotta call it like it is. Like if it's the official numbers, we are by far head and shoulders above anybody else in the states, in the U.S. We are the number one victims of hate crimes. Like hands down, just like Pastor Kelly was gave some examples of someone's trying to deliver something or trying to pick up something and just all of a sudden got gunned down. Like that's been the plight over here over in the U.S. for all these years, not including slavery, right? Not including Jim Crow and all this other stuff. It just keeps going on and on and on. So, and then this is the last thing. Let me not pull that one. Oh yeah. Last thing, family. This is what I was telling you about before. And this is that book, Germany's Black Holocaust. And this book, family, talks about, it just briefly kind of goes into, how before the Holocaust started over in Germany, it started over in Africa. And that's why, family, like I was saying before, it's like, no, we're not just making this stuff up, family. This is stuff that has been out there for a while, and it's been proven. And then I'm not sure if Pastor Kelly, if I'm able to share this one. This is just it gives I have a quote from that book that shows you just how. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Let's see, Black Germany. I think this one. No, that's not it. Apologies, family. I was just trying to. If I'm not able to do it, we just do it at another time. YouTube. Let's try this one. Oh, this one. This one might be it, Pastor Kelly. I don't know if you're able to share that page. Yeah. So this is just out of that book, family, and just to show you some quotes. And this is out of that book where it says, on June the 20th, 1939, months before the start of World War II, Fisher indicated something about Nazi racial attitudes when he stated, I do not categorize every Jew as an inferior, as I do Negroes. And I do not underestimate the greatest enemy with whom we have to fight. That's why I'd say, family, the Negroes were at the bottom of the food chain over in Germany, over in Nazi Germany. We had it the worst. And that's the one thing that nobody's talking about. And the last thing, family, where it says enemy black soldiers occupied Germany twice. And it says, though there were relatively few blacks in Germany, Hitler discriminated between black and white prisoners of war. Black soldiers captured during World War II were separated from their units and shot. So just to let you know, when I brought that out earlier, that wasn't just me just talking. That was based off of R. Friedman. So but that's it, Pastor Kelly. I just wanted to share those two pieces of information to add on to what you were saying.
Great information, family. Make a note of it. Make a note of these sources that are being shared. And a couple other things I want to do. Just want to, like how we like to do here. We like to, if we mention something, we like to share sources of what we are discussing, because we know that there's trolls that would do whatever they can to uh, stop what we're doing, sabotage what we're doing. They will go to the depths of lying. So let me share a couple of sources, just kind of clean up a little bit. And let's see here. Oh, that's not what I want. Let me go to a different one. Let me see here. Where is it? I think this is it. Yeah. Okay. Real quick, family. Right. This is who runs Hollywood, because I know that that's one of the things that they have highlighted inside the anti-Semitic laws, or I mean, that's not even laws, but what they consider to as part of anti-Semitism, about saying that the Jews run Hollywood, so to speak. But this is an article, and I've been showing this article for quite some time, by Joel Stein, who he is from the Jewish community, the Ashkenazi Jews, and he says this. This is an article with the Latin Times back in 2008. He says, "I've never been so upset by a poll in my life. Only 22% of Americans now believe the movie and television industry are pretty much run by Jews, down from nearly 50% in 1964. The Anti-Defamation League, which released the poll results last month, sees in these numbers a victory against stereotyping. Actually, it just shows how dumb America has gotten. Jews totally run Hollywood. How deeply Jewish is Hollywood? When the studio chiefs took out a full-page ad in Los Angeles Times a few weeks ago to demand that the Screen Actors Guild settle its contract, the open letter was signed by News Corp president Peter Chernin, Jewish; Paramount Picture chairman Brad Gray, Jewish; Walt Disney company chief executive Robert Iger, Jewish; Sony Pictures chairman Michael Linton, surprise Dutch Jew; Warner Brothers chairman Barry Meyer, Jewish; CBS Corp chief executive Leslie Moonves, so Jewish his great uncle was the first prime minister of Israel; MGM chairman Harry Sloan, Jewish; Universal chief executive Jeff Zucker, mega Jewish. If either of the Jews, well, actually, it skips down to, it says, the Jews are so dominant that I had to scour the trades to come up with 6 Gentiles in the high positions. So it's making it clear that they run Hollywood. He's making it clear. And this is from the LA Times. And I'll drop this link inside the chat. I'm not going to go through all of this, but he's just pointing out how dominant their community is in Hollywood. And he says this: as a proud Jew, I want America to know about our accomplishments. Yes, we control Hollywood. Now, family, this is coming from someone within their own community who is a writer, who is who published this, wrote this article here. We didn't make it up. This is coming directly from someone from within their group that's making it clear about who runs Hollywood. Let me just copy this link in for you guys, and I encourage you to go back over the link. All right. The other thing I pointed out, even though this is me regurgitating some certain things in a lot of my teachings, but if I speak it, I got to at least show the source. I'm not going to read it all, but this is about the Jewish community dominating the slave trade, right? This is coming from Judaism and the United States, right? A documented history, right? And this is a rabbi here, Mark Lee Raphael, who wrote this book, right? Jews also took an active part in the Dutch colonial slave trade. Uh, Indeed, by the bylaws and recipe of the Mauritius congregations included an imposta, in other words, Jewish tax of 5 soldos for each Negro slave a Brazilian Jew purchased from the West Indies Company. Slave auctions were postponed if they fell on a Jewish holiday. All right. Where do I want to go? Yeah, let's go down here. Jewish merchants. This is what I really want to highlight. It says Jewish merchants played a major role in the slave trade. In fact, the American colonies, whether French, British, Dutch, Jewish merchants frequently dominated. Right. So this is reiterated, family. Reiterated. Then if we skip down, it gives some names. It says here, let's see here. Here's some additional names of who dominated. Isaac DaCosta, David Franks, Aaron Lopez says dominated Jewish slave trading on the American continent. So this is letting you know that they dominated, family. We can't get around it. I'm just highlighting it real quick. That's the other point I want to make. I can share other sources about that, but I just want to keep it simple. And family, we already know. The other thing I want to address real quick is the question is, did the Jews per se kill Christ, kill Jesus, so to speak? Just for the sake of conversation, we're just going to use the word Jew. We know that the word Jew is not an ancient word. We know that Jew is not synonymous with all of Israel. But real quick, Matthew chapter 27, starting at verse 24, when Pilate saw that he could not prevail nothing, but rather a tumult was made. In other words, this was it was an uproar, right? Hama, it was tumult, Hama, right? But anyway, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. It says, see ye to it. Then the people then answered all the people and said, his blood be on us and our children. Guess what? Who's the all people? They're dealing with the Israelites, right? The all people who are taking full responsibility for the lynching of the Messiah were Israelites. And guess what? Even in their own Talmud, it says this. It says this in their own Talmud. Let me just read it real quick. The Talmud says this. On the eve of the Passover, Yeshua was hanged. 40 days before the execution took place, a herald went forth and cried, he is going forth to be stoned because he has practiced sorcery and enticed Israel to apostasy. It goes on to say, but since nothing was brought forward in his favor, he was hanged on the eve of the Passover. Anyway, cuz any comments?
Yeah, that's the one that's getting the Christians up in arms right there, because because now it's making that illegal to state that. And so when it comes to their Easter celebration or observance, that's putting all that in jeopardy. So as you can expect, or as you can probably foresee, that's going to be that's going to be problematic for their community. And so they are, up in arms. I'm sure they're working their representatives, calling them on the phone. And yeah, we'll just see how it plays out. Because that was one of the things that we were trying to do, get them involved when it came to this issue in Georgia, in the state of Georgia, but it didn't happen. But then, praise be to the Most High, all this stuff occurred with all the protests, and one of the byproducts of that was that now anti-Semitism, the definition is being challenged, and there's major pushback in this country.
Sorry, the mute button got me again. But you hit it on the nail, cuz, and that's the thing is, the scripture says that people perish because of the lack of knowledge. Family, we have to definitely make sure we're knowledgeable of the scriptures, and we have to really know what they teach, because they don't teach the Christ that we teach. They're looking for another Messiah. Our Messiah, as you see here, they write in it saying that he was lynched. Even in their Talmud, they acknowledge Christ, our Christ, but they insult him. They refer to Christ as being a soothsayer, as you see here. They also point out, let's see here, that he was involved in necromancy, right? Here it is right here. This is coming from the Gittim 57a. Uncleos then went and raised Jesus of Nazareth from the grave through necromancy. Right? They acknowledge Christ, but look at what they say about him. They also say that he's boiling in dung. Right? That's Gittim 57a. Right? And it says here, anyone who mocks the word of the sages will be sentenced to boiling excrements. Right? I'm not getting into all of this, but yeah, they make it clear their views on Christ. And the key is they compare him to Balaam. So you'll see a lot of Christ being used synonymously with Balaam. Let me see here. I was going to do something else here. Oh, that's not what I want to do. One other thing I was going to share here. A quote by Jonathan Greenblatt. Additionally, Whoopi's comment show a complete lack of awareness of the multi-ethnic, multiracial makeup of the Jewish community. So I want to make sure you understand, family. These are coming from Jonathan Greenblatt's own tweet saying that the Jewish community is multiracial. In other words, they consist of multiple races. So how can they be a unique race yet composed or comprised of multiple races? Any comments, cuz?
That was a slip of the tongue. Yep. A slip of the tongue. I mean, we know that the DNA actually backs up his comment that he just stated there, that they are multi racial, and that's because that DNA report that you shared, some time ago, where it talked about the founder group of the Ashkanazi, and the founder group of the Ashkenazi is made up of when you look at the haplogroup, the Y haplogroup, of multiple Y haplogroups, not just one Y haplogroup, and meaning that they have multiple origins or different origins, or there's different people that make up that group. And then, and of course, one of those groups, or one of the primary contributors of that group, had a designation of, or DNA designation of like R1B1A, and that haplogroup, the origin of that haplogroup was a territory just north of the Caucasus Mountains, which is the territory of the Khazars. So, long story short, family, all that's backed up by DNA, and it all points to that territory just north of the Caucasus Mountains.
Absolutely. And like you said, they keep telling on themselves, right?
Yep.
They keep giving us gifts right here, family. And, again, this is where it can be very confusing to many. I'm just going to play this quick clip here. And because if you want to share your thoughts on it, let me know. Let me go and pull this video up here, because I did want you guys to hear to a point that Benea made earlier, is that other spaces are now engaging in the discussion, and they know that we're the people. We're the people of the book, and most of them know that the lies that are being spread about who's saying that they are the people of the book. I'll say it that way. They know that those that are saying that they are the people of the book currently, that's that's running certain spaces. They know that who's who. And I'll just play this real quick. Let me see here. Pull this up here.
Without getting too...
All right. Can you guys Benet, can you hear this?
Too semantic, or at the risk of getting too semantic. Does it matter that the Jews are not Semites, or does this phrase anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people? They're Ashkenazi, they're Eastern European Jews.
All right, family. So I'm going to play this. I'm going to get to a certain place that really had me. Let me see here. Had me.
What is anti-Semitism?
Kind of laughing here.
Well, the problem in answering that question is that because Israel's supporters in the United States accuse anyone who criticizes Israel or criticizes the U.S.-Israeli relationship or criticizes the Israel lobby as an anti-Semite, what we have is a situation where the term has become to some extent meaningless. I mean, I've been called an anti-Semite on numerous occasions since Steve Walton and I wrote the Israel lobby article and then the book. And I believe there's no justification for calling me an anti-Semite. But again, I criticize the lobby in Israel and the U.S.-Israeli relationship. So by definition, I'm an anti-Semite. If you ask me what is real anti-Semitism, it is where somebody hates Jews because they are Jews and behaves towards them in noxious ways. And I'm fully aware that there are instances of anti.
All right, but you hear that he tried to give more of a definitive answer than what they give.
Right.
But that's not the area that I want to get. I want to get to a certain point, portion of this video. Let me see here. When the judge asked
babies
a
is horrible.
critical question.
But when you say,
let me see here.
Christian Zionism. The Jewish state and modern Zionism.
All right, let me fast forward.
Told welcome home because I'm Jewish.
All right, let me rewind it a little bit.
Well, they're Ashkenazi, they're Eastern European.
All right, now pay attention to what this judge says. And this is a video that Benea has posted on his channel. And I encourage you guys, excuse me, to peep out the video, post a comment so we can actually break that algorithm that's trying to slow up his channel. All right, but let me play it here.
Christian Zionism. I think that the many Christian supporters of the rebirth of the Jewish state and the ingathering of the Jewish people in the 19th century made possible the rise of Jewish Zionism.
The greatest threat to the First Amendment in this country at this point in time is Israel's supporters. It's the Israel lobby. And what's going on here, to dig a layer deeper, is that Israel is doing horrendous things in Gaza, and all sorts of people are talking about it and criticizing Israel. And what the lobby wants to do is shut down that criticism before it goes too far and before too many people recognize exactly what's happening. And the only way they can shut down that criticism is to basically throw the First Amendment out the window. And that's what's happening here.
Does it, without getting too semantic, or at the risk of getting too semantic, does it matter that the Jews are not Semites, or does this phrase anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people? They're Ashkenazi, they're Eastern European Jews. Well, they're Ashkenazi, they're Eastern European Jews.
Well, they're Ashkenazi, they're Eastern European Jews.
I'm white. I'm white. Unseasoned. A Caucasian. Caucasian. I was told welcome home because I'm Jewish. Every single person who's Jewish that steps off the plane, especially for their first time in Israel, is told welcome home. Let's just sit with that for a second. This right here, this is my actual ancestry. I am 88% Ashkenazi Jewish, and none of my ancestors are from the Middle East.
Now, you know that we have kept a group identity for thousands of years, and then let's say, by the way, that
I'm gonna fast forward it real quick because to a certain point, but you notice the common theme is, especially with this guy here, he's gonna say it doesn't matter if you're physical blood descendant or not. Matter of fact, I'll play it real quick, and you can share your thoughts.
You have 16 generations ago, your mother's 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 mother, so on and so on, right, was not Jewish. But that doesn't mean that her child isn't Jewish, because the child can count as a convert. But that doesn't mean that her child isn't Jewish, because the child can count as a convert.
But that doesn't mean that her child isn't Jewish, because the child can count as a convert.
If the child is dedicated to the Jewish religion, then that child will count as Jewish. Wasn't born Jewish. But the fact that you're not born Jewish doesn't mean you're not Jewish. If you attach yourself to the Jewish religion, then you could be Jewish without being born Jewish. So it doesn't mean that you're not Jewish. It just means you don't have a line going all the way back to that. But then, who cares about that? Why is that important?
Does it matter that the Jews are not Semites, or does this phrase anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people? They're Ashkenazi, they're Eastern European Jews.
Are you familiar with the Khazar theory? There's a theory, it's widely accepted as anti-Semitic, that Ashkenazi Jews come from the Khazars and they're not Levantine. But DNA tests.
It's not anti-Semitic, it's a question of fact. So Shlomo Sand, for example, has argued that, I think probably exaggerated, but it's simply a question of fact. If my ancestors from the Ukraine have Khazar roots, changes nothing. I'm Jewish. My grandfather was Jewish. My family happens to have a story saying that we're descended from the Baal Shem Tov. Okay, that's part of the culture. Doesn't matter what the DNA shows.
As far as the alleged,
I ain't gonna play him right now, but what are your thoughts, cuz?
No, it was funny because it's like if they know it, which apparently they do, then they intentionally deny the real people. You know what I mean? Like they don't. It means that they knowingly and willingly keep the truth of who the real people are out of circulation. So to me, like that offense is like twofold. You know, it's not only are they, they know that their ancestry goes back to, conversion, and even I know you got Dr. Brown pause there, but even with Dr. Brown, during his explanation, he talks about how his family goes back to Germany or Russia. I think he said Russia.
Yeah,
Russia. But then like Russia that's the territory of the Khazars. It's like, it's like, it's like you were saying, cause it's like they can't help but, every now and then the truth will slip out and then they have to try to fix it. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's wild. That's wild.
So they can do whatever they. As a matter of fact, because I'm hearing a little echo there, so you may want to turn your volume down a little bit because I'm hearing an echo in the background. They literally telling us in the public, in our face, that it doesn't matter. DNA doesn't matter. They don't have to be connected to the ancient people, but through conversion is their connection.
Right.
And that's not even scripture. All through, let's just go with the Torah, since many of them don't believe in the renewed covenant. In Torah, there's always a distinction between the homeborn Israelites and those that are citizens among the Israelites. There's always a distinction. Many cases, they are referred to as the sons of strangers. There's always a distinction. So it's amazing what all of a sudden now being blood descendants doesn't matter. It's out the window. Now it went from being based upon the father. Now it's based upon the matrilineal. Now all of a sudden it's the mother side of the family saying that that's them. That's how lineage is developed. But then at the same time, they'll say that, what's his name? Rabbi Abramson. He'll say that, They changed it. They shifted from what it was in the Bible, the ancient times, to being where it is right now. I mean, they talk, man. They do a lot of tap dancing, and Dr. Brown, he does a lot of tap dancing.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember when at some point in time the narrative was, the Jews couldn't possibly be dark-skinned people. That was one of those anti-Semitic things that they used to try to make call anti-Semitic, but then over time, once all these proofs and sources and archaeological evidence came out, like the Lakesh relief and all this other stuff came out, it began hard to maintain that position. So then all of a sudden, this new narrative came out, was like, well, we were black at some point. We were black folks. We had the afro and everything. But what happened? What had happened was,
yeah, saying by mixing and meshing.
Yep.
But actually, it's been proven that they can trace the Ashkenazi people down to 330 individuals.
Right.
Not from Northeast Africa, but from Germany. That's you can look it up, family. Nature Communication. Also, the LA Times did an article on that. But Nature Communication has the results inside it. So the information is there. But then you start hearing comments like this. Let me play another short clip here. You hear clips like this. Let me see if I still have it here. Let's see here. I may have taken it down. Yeah, you hear crazy contradicting clips like this.
Does having Jewish DNA determine your Jewish status? Great question. The answer is your Judaism is determined by your mother. If your mom's Jewish, you're Jewish according to traditional Judaism. Now, you can have a very high count of Jewish DNA, and that's awesome. That means you're connected to the Jewish people, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're Jewish. Don't forget, there are people that convert to Judaism and they have zero DNA and they're 100% Jewish.
Got to cover the converts.
Got to cover the converse. See, family, that's why that word Jew and Jewish is a word of confusion, because when did the word Jew become synonymous to all of Israel? If you want to use it from that, use that word and you go off of, let's just say, the so-called definition of the word, and you want to use it according to scripture, then Jew would be synonymous to Judah. It'll be the southern kingdom, but also the tribe of Judah. How does the word Jew become synonymous to all of Israel? Even though this English word began its conception in the 12th century, pretty much in the English language, GYU, for the Wycliffe Bible English translation, Christ was not that word, because that word didn't exist back at that time. But now we see the political agendas behind it, because you have that word Jew and you have the word Semitic, and both are what? Political constructs. But nevertheless, going back to the point, that word Jew is a word of confusion, period. Let's see here. I was going to get this one clip. I was trying to get
the Jews are not Semites, or does this
phrase? Oh, here it is. This is it right here. Let's see here.
Anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people. They're Ashkenazi. They're Eastern.
Some of them may have willfully converted to Judaism, maybe mainly the leaders.
Does it matter that the Jews are not Semites, or does this phrase anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people? They're Ashkenazi. They're Eastern European Jews.
You say, well,
I thought I had the full
where the
one.
name Ashkenazi came from? So, a little over 1,000 years. Study the history.
First, let's frame, and we can see very nicely some kind of migration route using GPS.
Does it matter that the Jews are not Semites, or does this phrase anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people? They're Ashkenazi. They're Eastern European Jews.
You know what you are?
It's after this.
You're an ancient Israelite of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews?
Does it matter that the Jews are not Semites, or does this phrase anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people? They're Ashkenazi, they're Eastern European Jews. The Palestinians are the Semites.
Well, I think that you don't want to go down that road. I think that when we talk about anti-Semites or anti-Semitism, we're talking about hatred
for the Jewish people.
Yeah, and I think it's best to keep it that way.
All right, did you guys catch it? What do you think? Because he kept him from going down that path. The judge was ready to go down that path.
Yes, yeah, and like we were saying before, it's like the judge knows, and I forgot that court case that you brought up about I think you brought it up either a year or more, or several years ago, about how it went to was it the Supreme Court, Pascal?
Yeah. Yep.
Went to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court, well, I think you were talking about it earlier in this segment too, but it went before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled that, they couldn't sue for hate, what was it, for hate crime or something like that, because, they were Caucasians themselves. So the court, at that point, the courts knew, and then especially with Judge DePagliano, because he's in, he's in that world, and I would expect for him to know those decisions, especially those Supreme Court decisions. So so he would know. and the fact that he was getting ready to, divulge everything and just go all in, just kind of speaks to the current state of affairs that we're at now, where they're just upset about all that stuff that's happening over in the Middle East right now, that the whole world, that's like the Most High is revealing to the whole world, like, they're not the people. Like, all these wicked acts that are occurring, everyone, a lot of folks are coming to that realization, like, man, y'all, it's no way that y'all could be the people. But then, of course, the next step in that process is going to be, well, then who is the people? And that's when I just kind of believe, family, that's going to be like the next great awakening. Of course, we had multiple awakenings over the years, but I just think there's another one right around the corner.
Absolutely. And to your point, I was trying to pull it up here since it's mentioned. I think let me see if I have it here. Let me see if it's this one. I think it may be this one that you made reference to about that court case. I think I have it, and I'm trying to make sure I have it.
Oh,
because once we mention something, I like to at least bring it up.
Yep.
Because how it goes if you don't bring. Go ahead, cuz I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna land back on what you were saying, Pascal. I was like that's a good one, because that one actually went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, family. So at the highest court in the land, in these heathen lands, that ruling carries forward to all the courts in the state, in the local government. So that's a big one.
Yeah, I think I found it. I'm going to share it real quick. Let's see here. Oh, wrong one. I thought I had it. This is the wrong presentation. Let me open up a different one. I think it's this one. All right, let's see here. I think it's this one. Nope, it's not this one.
Oh, no worries.
I was looking, you know how you do your search. It's pulling stuff up, but it didn't pull up what I was looking for. I'll pull up this old one here.
Yeah,
I know it's in this one. I think I found it. Let's see here.
Yeah, that's why I believe, Pastor Kelly, like if a lot of this stuff ends up going to court, especially with people getting up in arms about this new anti-Semitism law that they're trying to get pushed through Congress. And that's another thing, family, if you want to know who has the influence here in the States, because you know that Pastor Kelly, you brought out APEC in one of your previous lessons about how influential, they were or are, they still are influence. And, basically like a lot of the candidates or senators or congressmen that they've supported, they are, magically, in support of the doctrines of APEC. So whatever APEC wants them to do, it seems like that's what they're doing. And one of the things that they're pushing these senators to do is to push this anti-Semitism bill, through all the way up, so that it can become law, right? And let me know when you find that, Pastor Kelly, because I know you were.
Yeah, I just found it. Let's see. I'm gonna pull this up here. All right, family, and to Benaya's point that he pointed out, the court case is Sharia Tefillah congregation versus Cobbs, and it was a case of a white guy vandalizing a Jewish synagogue per se. All right, and so this is the case. I'll drop the the link inside the comment section, and you guys can go back over and you guys can use this as a source. And actually, in this particular PowerPoint, it also covers what I pointed out earlier, how the Ashkenazi guys, as we know them, are descendants from just a handful of people, 330 people. So actually, this is in the same source. But let's go and deal with this case here just real quick. I'll read some of it here. It says, the Fourth Circuit Court syllabus after their synagogue was painted with anti-Semitic slogans, phrases, symbols. Petitioners brought suit in federal district court alleging that the desecration by respondent violated 42, actually just giving the actual, what they call it. Can't think of the term that they use for it. But anyway, this is the court case right here. All right, that it said that it violated this here. All right, this particular law. So the district court dismissed petitioner's claim, and the Court of Appeals affirmed, holding that discrimination against Jews is not racially discriminated under this particular law. So he's saying it's not racially discriminated. So it goes on to say a charge of racial discrimination within the meaning of statute, that's what I was thinking of the statute, cannot be made by alleging only that the defendant were motivated by racial animus. It is also necessary to allege that the animus was directed towards the kind of group that Congress intended to protect when it passed the statute. And it gives the statute here. Jews can state claim of racial discrimination since they were among the people considered to be distinct races, and hence with protection of the statute at the time it was passed. They are not foreclosed from stating a cause of action simply because the defendant are also part of what is considered the Caucasian race. Let me read that again. It says, Jews can state a claim of racial discrimination since they were among the people considered to be a distinct race, and hence within the protection of the statute at the time it was passed. But it says here, they are not foreclosed from stating a cause of action simply because the defendants are also part of what today is considered the Caucasian race. Right? And then you see here reverse remanded by Supreme Court Justice Weiss. He goes on to say here, we agree with the petitioners. However, that Court of Appeals erred in holding that Jews cannot state a claim against other white defendants. So initially it said that, hey, they could not state a case of racial discrimination from other white defendants, but this is how he worked around it. He said that view rested on the notion that because Jews today are not thought to be members of a separate race. So it's saying today, the today of this during this time, it said they're not referred to as being a separate race. They are part of the Caucasian race. So it says they cannot make out a claim of racial discrimination within the meaning of the statute. But it goes on to say, our opinion in that case observed that definition of race when the statute was passed were not the same as they are today. It goes on to say, and concluded that the section was intended to protect the discrimination identifiable classes of persons who are subjected to intentional discrimination solely because of their ancestry or ethnic characteristics. But here's the key. The question before us is not whether Jews are considered to be a separate race by today's standards, but whether the statute, at the time statute 1982 was adopted, Jews constituted a group of people that Congress intended to protect. It is evident from legislative history of the section reviewed by, and it gives the course, but it says here, a review that we need not repeat it, that the Jews and Arabs were among the people then considered. So it wasn't just about the Jews, it was about the Arabs. But it goes on to say to be distinct races and hence within the protection of the statute. But it says Jews are not foreclosed from stating a cause of action against other members of what today is considered to be part of the Caucasian race. So in a nutshell, it's saying that they can't make a racial claim, right? But you know, when you go deeper into this case, that they could bring claims of hatred, but not racial. It cannot be based upon white man, vandalize, or should I say, hate crimes. They're hating against the Jewish community because of skin complexion. No, he's saying that they can file suits based upon the right to practice what they believe, the right to assemble themselves for religion. All right. Anything else, cuz?
No, like you pointed out, it's just Caucasian on Caucasian crime.
Yeah. So they look at them as being what? Caucasians, according to.
Yeah.
So that's where, family, truth be told, that's where the battle is going to really be fought at. Because the Supreme Court can strike down whatever is approved in Congress, and signed by the president.
Yep. So, and that's another thing. I hadn't put out the video. Maybe you might put it out before I do, Pastor Kelly. But that same judge, Napoli, I keep messing up his last name, Napoliano. He had a follow-up session today. It was either today or yesterday, where he talked about about it being taken to the taken up by the courts. Basically we're saying that is a First Amendment violation. And then he went on to talk about how the limitations of the government, about how the government is prohibited from direct interference with freedom of speech and indirect interference with freedom of speech. So basically, he said that indirect would be the government can't tell YouTube or the government can't tell Twitter to go and limit this guy's speech based off of anything, like based off of what they would call hate speech or anything like that. It's like that's out of the realm of responsibility or influence that the government can do. It's actually against the law for the government to do that. And people don't, I didn't know that when I heard him when I heard the judge say that. So most high willing, I'll drop a quick video about it. But yeah, to your point, Pastor Kelly, if this gets up to court, like if they start either arresting people or kicking people out of these institutions, if they take it to court, they will lose. Or they being either the government or whoever's trying to make the case that it's a offense of anti-Semitism.
Absolutely, and I think that's where it's going to boil down to. And I think even in the initial video, the one that the clips is from that you uploaded, he also goes into that details of some of those details in that video as well. because that's one of the things that they were talking about. Like, hey, the First Amendment, it's like the government is, cannot go into telling a person what they can and cannot say.
Right.
And that's basically what they're saying. They're saying, hey, this group of people, you could talk about anybody else, but not them. They could talk about everybody, though.
That's what they're
they
trying
could
to
talk
do.
about everybody. They could talk about everybody and anybody and get away with it. And family, I'll play a little bit of a clip of this guy here. You guys can see exactly what I mean. This guy was kind of hostile towards our community. I'm not even gonna call him a matter of fact, I'm not even gonna call him a rabbi, because he's supposedly a rabbi. I'm not gonna refer to him as a rabbi. But this is just a little sample of just how he could call our community idiots, dumb, stupid, and all these different words. But if we said that about anyone from their community, right, anti-Semitism would come out. That would be, man, that thing would drop like before you can even get it out your mouth. But this is what he said. This is just a little clip of it.
It makes it seem as if they know more than everybody else. Similar to those Reshaim, those Israelites, these idiots, Goyim, that they're not idiots because they're Goyim, because there are many smart Goyim, but they happen to be one of the idiots among the nations instead of the righteous among the nations. Now, these idiots have been making a bigger stink lately. I had a few people send me messages about them and say, oh, this is concerning anti-Semitism. Kanye West is talking about the Israelites. Now, I know these morons from years ago. I remember when I lived in New York, you always had one of these Amaleks in the middle of the street wearing something that he bought from a costume store, and he's yelling and screaming the New Testament, but he's pretending as if he's reading the 10 Commandments from Mount Sinai, and he's reading it in English because none of them know Hebrew, and yelling at everybody that they're the righteous, they're the original Jews, they're the ones, and the Jews of today are fakers, and so on and so forth. Now, of course, at that time that I saw them initially, I didn't know anything about Judaism. So there's not much to argue here. I just knew they're idiots because just the way they behave. Today, Baruch Hashem, after Baruch Hashem, I've had enough time to learn enough that they're morons. Why are they morons? Because their entire premise of everything in regards to being an Israelite and the original Hebrews and they're black and all this racism, all of that can be crushed in literally just a few sentences. There's no need for a debate. I will never have a debate with one of these people because, again, they're violent people, both verbally and otherwise. I will never have a debate with one of these people.
Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur.
So you hear that craziness, cuz?
Oh, I thought you was gonna play a little bit more of it because, well, it's funny because he says I can what he says I can not debunk it in a few sentences or a couple of sentences, and he goes on, family. I'm talking about for a good little bit. so it wasn't a couple of sentences. It took him a while to craft that narrative, and it wasn't simple. It was not simple at all.
Yeah. So as you can see, family, all what he said, if we said those things, if any of us said this on any of our platforms, the channel would be shut down.
Well, Pastor Kelly, so from a legal perspective, because I had gone back over to the International Holocaust website and looked at the definitions and the examples that they had. And in particular, I was looking at the wording of it because like in the legalese, it matters what specific words you use. And I was curious if they use Jewish or if they use Jew, right? And in some cases they use Jewish. They're just in a handful of places, but for the most part they use Jew to define what they're talking about. And then, like I said, from a legalese perspective, if they're using that, then by definition, we're included in that protection that they're trying to how can I say, reserve for themselves. In other words, they've kind of unknowingly included us in their definition. And I guess in order for them to kind of uninclude us, they have to put some specific wording in there to say, well, this is just for white Jews, or this is just for, Ashkenazi / Khazar Jews. But because it's not in there, as it stands today, they include us in there. So I'll say that to say that theoretically, we could accuse them of these vague terms that they're trying to apply to other people. You know what I mean? Like, whether what did you read before, Pastor Kelly? Whether it be real or imagined.
Yeah, unbelievable, right?
We could say, well, hey, you guys did this. It was like, well, you're committing anti-Semitism because that's an imagined or real accusation that you're making against me. Well, but you're not. I'm a, if you use their terms, I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew as well. And I think Kyrie said the same thing when they tried to heckle him, at courtside. So anyway, but just something to think about. I was just kind of thinking about that at some point. I was like, well, theoretically, we're included in that. If you go back and look at it, and for the ones that they don't necessarily say Jewish, it just says Jew. It's like we're included in that.
Speaking of that, because the one thing I did want to point out, I forgot to point out, because I know that at the topic of this lesson is the new Jewish state, the Jewish state of the United States being the Jewish state of America?
Right.
Well, family, the reason why I say that is most of you guys probably are not familiar with the history. This is not saying anything to disrespect any of you guys, or most are not really familiar with the history and understanding that, that these that the Ashkenazi Jews, or the Jewish community as we know them, their initial goal wasn't where they are right now. They have other places that they were they made into or targeted to be the new Jewish state. And of course, Uganda was one of them. Also Russia, they actually have a Jewish state in Russia. Texas was targeted, as well as Canada. Let me just bring it up real quick. I thought I had it in this slide. Let me pull it up in another slide. Let me see here. Let's see here. We got presentations for days.
Yeah. It sometimes takes me a while to find those presentations too.
All right, let's see. I have one of them here. Yeah, actually, let me pull this one up here, family. Just so for educational purposes, since we mention it, it's just one of those things that I'm one of those that if we mention it, especially to keep us out of any trouble, we actually citing the sources. All right, let's see. Let me stop this here. And real quick, let me get some shout outs here. I noticed some super chats here that I didn't get to. And then we'll go a few more minutes, and then we'll call it a wrap, because I didn't realize it's like we've been going for 3 hours. But I want to give shout outs to Red Lion. Thank you for the love and support. Thank you for the super chat. I want to give shout outs to Yadi CS. Shalom, everyone. Thanks for highlighting the truth. Great to be among like-minded. Thank you for the love and support again. Payday, love and appreciate this channel. It's been a blessing to me. So just want to thank everyone for the love and support. James Sheaf, the Negro experience, actually is holding up I'm hosing up a little bit on me, like a little delay. But thank you guys again. John on one. Excuse me. Why do I want to say one-on-one? John 1-1. My apologies. Lisa Jackson as well. Thank you for the love and support. All praises to the Most High. I will keep his word in my heart. So really thank all of you guys. Kevin Jones, thank you for the love and support. Trying to get the rest of them. The author, Candace Phillips Anderson, thank you for the love and support. Brother Douglas, thank you for the love and support. And Cheryl Steele, thank you for the love and support. And family, this is the presentation I wanted to share. As far as the slides I wanted to share, just to bring home the point. Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one right here. Here we go. All right. So to the point. I thought I had it sized up. Or yeah, it's slide 5. Okay. This is the original name that Israel was going to place over, the Israeli was going to place over what is called Israel today. But had it not been for the president at that time, Harry Truman, crossing out, I'll just go here, the new Jewish state, he crossed it out and wrote State of Israel over it. That's important. Had he not done that, it would actually be right now, Israel today would be called the new Jewish state. So that's the point that I want to make, that they want to call Israel today the new Jewish state. They could care less about the original name. They want to establish what is called a Jewish state, a new Jewish state. And here's a document from the Zionist Congress, the Uganda proposal. This is again with Herzl. But let me see here. Let me get to a key point. It said at the 6th Zionist Congress of Basel and on August 26, 1903, Herzl proposed the British Uganda program as a temporary refuge for Jews in Russia, an immediate danger. All right. It goes on to say the Uganda program was finally rejected by the Zionist movement at the 7th Zionist Congress in 1905 by Nahum Sirkin and Jewish Zangwill. But it goes on to say, let's see here. Yeah. After the rejection of the Uganda scheme on the grounds of impracticability by the British, Zangwill turned his attention to the settlement in Canada, Australia, but opposition from the local residents led him to abandon the scheme. Expeditions were sent to Mesopotamia, in other words, Iraq, Cyrenaica, Libya, and Angola, but little came of those expeditions. All right. And it even goes on to say a project that had some concrete success was the Galveston scheme, which contemplated the settlement of Jews in America's Southwest, in particular, Texas. The project received the assistance of Jacob Schiff, the American Jewish banker, and some 9,300 Jews arrived in the area between 1907 and 1914. So this lets you let it be known that they were targeting other places, and Russia is one of them. I'm not going to go into reading it out loud, but I'll just Google it real quick, so that way I can post a link. Let me just do it real quick. I know we've been saying real quick, right? For the longest, but I apologize. But let me see. Let me see if I could post a link here for you guys. All right. And then, cuz I'll let you have at it for to bring us home. All right, let's see here. All right. Family, I do have a video that's online that's about it. Let me just do this real quick. Jewish state in Russia. All right. I was trying to pull it up. All right, I think this is it. Let me see here. Yeah, I'll just drop the link, family. I'll drop the link, and you guys can read up on it. But there's a Jewish state in Russia that was established in 1929. 1929. I'll drop the link. All right, cuz anything you want to share?
No, that's just this is great information, Pastor Kelly. I didn't realize it was going to be called the New Jewish State. That's crazy.
Wow. Had it not been for Harry Truman crossing it off, that's what Israel will be called today, the New Jewish State, and that's what we see happening right now. Like I said, they have a Jewish state of Russia right now that was established well in advance.
Wow.
I was surprised when I came across that a few years ago.
Well, we'll see how long it lasts, because there's a lot of unrest over in that area today, family, and I don't think it's going to. My guess would be that it's not going to be calming down anytime soon. So we'll just have to wait and see how everything plays out.
Yeah. Let me post this here. I said I was going to post a link. Let me post a link, family. This is some information that you guys can look at your leisure. And this is about what I just pointed out. Tell you, man, they did their thing, man. To be able to have a territory in Russia and in other places, that's a lot. But anyway, family, any final words you want to give, cuz, as we get ready to wrap it up?
Well, just thanks for inviting me, Pastor Kelly. It's always an honor to be here, man. And as well as hanging out with Mishpachah with family. So peace and blessings to you, family. Hopefully you all can have a great day tomorrow, or I guess it'd be later today because it's already in the morning time. But yeah, and just we'll just keep our eyes on what's going on over there in that area, family, because it just seems like the unrest is growing.
Yeah. And family, as you pointed out, with the phrase be of good cheer. In other words, it simply means do better, family. We have to do better. We have to do better, be better in the midst of the things that we're facing. We have a cloud of witnesses, and ultimately the Most High is watching what we do and how we conduct ourselves. So be encouraged, family. With that being said, in the words of Moses, or the words of the Most High that he gave to Moses in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14, as they were dealing with the obstacle of the Red Sea that was before them. Moses was given these words: "Fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, they will not have power over you again. The Most High will fight for you, but we, as a people, we have to hold our peace." In other words, the Hebrew word there is charash, which means be quiet. And family, can't go back, can't stay here, keep moving forward. I'll say it again. Can't go back, can't stay here, keep moving forward. And for the last time, as I do in our assembly, can't go back, can't stay here, keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis